Hello, everybody, and welcome to Caitlin Clark's crossover. Hello, Vadim. Hello, people of the internet. Good people of the internet. What's that? Who says that? That's the Quinta, whatever her name is. She says, hello, people of the good people of the internet or something, whatever she says. Anyways, can you hear me okay? I'm live. Let me see the comments. Let me get, I don't need a banner. I need to. Let's see. We got Rich coming back today. And maybe.
Hey, how's it going, Mark?
Hey, Rich, how are you?
Pretty good, man. How about you?
I don't know what's going on with Act Nation because it's his wife's birthday and he forgot.
Oh man.
And Rob got called into work, so it might just be the two of us. But there's also there's a bunch of games on tonight. Anyways, at 7.
Oh, okay.
So,
It's like today's Thursday, right? Yeah.
Yeah, we could just go like till 6:30 and then give you time to go do whatever you got to do and get to the game. There's a game at 7, I think, Florida, and I think Duke's at 7:30.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I gotta see Duke.
Yeah, there's 4 games tonight, and let me just, if I'm not mistaken, yeah, let me go on. I want to open up a new tag on this one here. Let's go. Oops, what's going on with my computer? It's a little slow.
Probably be a little bit easier for me this week. I was fighting through the start of getting sick last week, so all good now. Just finished a little workout, so ran up here. I'm still sweating, but I'm good to go.
You're still sweating?
Yeah, a little bit.
You've been working out?
Yeah.
Let's see what the men's games are. I think they're 7 and 7:30 ish, or 7:39 or some weird time like that. Let me see. Okay, is today Thursday? Yeah. All right. Duke's not till 9:39. Florida's at 7:39. BYU, Alabama's at 7:09. So they do start at 7. And so one starts at 7:39, one starts at 9:39, one starts at 10:09. It's kind of weird. They have 3 number 1 seeds. No, they have 2 number 1 seeds on this one. All right. They have the West region, the East region, East region. Okay. So yeah, those games are going on. The women play on tomorrow through Monday, and the men play today through Sunday. So there's a 3-day overlap.
Yeah.
So Rob and I were talking about this off air, but it turned out we were wrong. We thought that the number 1 recruit, she's from Texas area.
Yeah, Lubbock.
We thought she was going to go to Texas because we thought she wanted to play with Madison Booker, and they had fewer graduating seniors and juniors the next 2 years, so she had a better chance of a national championship.
Mm-hmm.
She went to Oklahoma instead because they said they match how I want to play. I want to play fast. But Rob and I looked at that. We said that's probably going to be her second choice because they have a bunch of juniors and seniors graduating. So unless they get a bunch of teams out of the transfer portal, her chance of a national championship, which is the first thing she says out of her mouth, she says, let's see. Well, I'll play it. I got the thing here. I'll play what she said. And she said the town that the University of Oklahoma is, and I didn't know what town the University of Oklahoma was. I didn't know what the heck she was saying. So she thought everybody knew what town they were. She was like, when LeBron was going to Miami, people knew where Miami was. And people don't know the University of Oklahoma. I could bring it up on the screen. But she's an exciting player, and she's Mexican. Both her parents are Mexican. So she's an unusual, they always have a lot of black and white players, but that's unusual for her.
Yeah, I heard her talking about it, and she's like, I don't even want people to get caught up on that. Like, I'm here Mexican. Yeah, she's like, I just want to be the best, and I think it is interesting. She's talking about Oklahoma. They must have came correct with the NIL because obviously you're not going to say that, but you know, the NIL stuff, I think, is going to put a lot more teams in the game. And I think with that region of the country, too, between like Lubbock, Texas, and anything in Red River country, them kids, you know, you can pick, and some of them will go to Oklahoma, some of them will go to Texas. All those kids are up for grabs.
Yeah, well, I knew she wasn't going to go to South Carolina. She's way too creative and for that. And she wasn't going to go through what Malaya Fulwai is going through right now. Act Nation did a whole video on that. We've talked about it on a video also. We did a follow-up to that. And
girls basketball player in the nation has found herself a home after high school.
I'm ready to give my all to make this my home and bring a national championship to the city of Norman.
The 5-star McDonald's All-American point guard is taking the next step in her career, but this is just the latest stop on a path that started in Lubbock, Texas over 18 years ago. At a young age, her dad, Sonny, was reluctant to even let her play ball, but Aaliyah eventually showed how special she was, playing against older kids consistently, preparing herself to take the next step up, and the prep paid off. From her first game as a kid, where she scored 26 points, to dropping 9 50-plus point games in her prep career, the Naismith Girls High School Player of the Year has been different. And while over 100 colleges and universities vied for her talents, there could only be a single school. And now, her next team has a hooper that's one of one. After a senior season in which she averaged nearly 35 points a contest and led her school to its first state title in 44 years, Chavez cemented herself as the top player in her class. In all 4 years of high school ball, she dropped at least 1,000 points. Just another line in a ridiculous resume. And if her past is any indication, what she's going to do in the future is going to be even better.
I haven't watched a full game of hers or anything, but I've seen some of her highlights before. She looks to be a very entertaining player, great shooter, right up my alley.
Great passer too. I saw a game against Special K's team, who's got a stacked team in California, and her team lost. And Special K held her own, and she's a sophomore, and she's shorter than her. Mm-hmm. But Special K was playing with better players around her too. And Special K is like probably going to be the number 1 pick in 2 years coming out, or the number 1 recruit, I should say. But she's shorter, but she's only a sophomore. I don't know how much taller she's going to get. This woman probably not going to grow much more. She's 18, probably going to be 18. She's 5'11". But Special K is like 5'6", so she's like kind of doggo height. But she can score like crazy. That's what her nickname. I forget her real name. Her nickname is Special K. So I find it interesting that they think they have to have a press conference to tell people where they're going now.
I mean, I spent a large portion of my life in Florida, so like I'm used to seeing like the high school recruiting and people with the hats on the tables and all that stuff. I like the high school football recruiting, that is. So I kind of see it's a it's a page out of that alley. I think it's just a reflection of like the women's game and the rise in popularity in it, and that we're even to this point where they'd be able to do a press conference on ESPN, because I don't remember this happening for a lot of people recently.
No, I looked up. Sarah Strong kind of was with like 6 or 7, 8 people, and they're just interviewing her. She said when she was going to go, and then she zipped up her UConn jacket. I could show that. Mm-hmm. So I looked it up. I was saying, gosh, she's doing her own press conference. And she was like telling people when she was going to announce it, like it was like LeBron telling people about the decision. That's a little bit much, don't you think?
I mean, like this is like the one time in their lives that they're going to be able to get recruited. So, take it. I look at it like have fun with it. As long as you're not doing like some, crazy theatrics, it's fine with me.
Well, someone did the guy that's going to be the number 1 recruit next year. He did do crazy theatrics. Let me see if I have that. He did do something crazy. Let me just see if I still have him. Yeah, right here. Okay. Let me just see. You ready? I'll pull this up. I got it. All right. Do I have to reset that? No, I guess I do. He did do something crazy. You'll see in a minute. So I looked up like the 2 men and the 2 women, how each of them did their announcement over the last 2 years to see if hers was unique or not, because like I said, she's got an announcement when she's going to do it. And let's see, I do have that on number 1. All right. So this guy is really good. In fact, he as good as Cooper Flagg's supposed to be.
Oh, yeah. AJ, yeah.
Jay Billis said that if he was in the same year as Cooper Flagg, he might be the number 1 pick in the draft next year over Cooper Flagg, which I don't know how he can say that when he hasn't played any college yet. But that's how athletic. He's more athletic than Cooper Flagg, which is saying a lot because Cooper Flagg is actually very athletic.
Yeah,
and
this guy's going. He goes to school in Utah somewhere, and I believe he's going to BYU, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, here's the thing that they showed.
Career.
Coming up next after the break, AJ Dybantsa. What school will he pick?
AJ, how could you forget to have? You have one job to do. Come on, AJ.
I ain't forget.
Only force to AJ. We are in position.
All right, bet, let's do it.
Who are you talking to?
This is the bit one. I just saw this up today.
Okay, so hold on, pause it real quick.
Here he is, AJ Dybantsa, with us now, and his father, Anise. Thank you both so much for being here with us. AJ, big moment. We so appreciate you. So where are you headed?
I mean, first of all, I just want to thank God, for putting me in this position. I mean, keeping him in my life.
I gotta skip this part.
I mean, just thanking all the coaches, my sisters at home. I'll be coming into Brigham Young University.
Brigham Young,
BYU.
Yeah.
Cougars.
Go Cougs.
Wow.
Congratulations, guys.
Congratulations.
That was
First things first. Why BYU?
Yeah.
I mean,
so one thing I did notice in it. See, I'm not gonna put this all on AJ because as soon as I saw the Red Bull sponsorship in the thing, I'm like, this is a corporation that is doing this.
Was that what it was? It was Red Bull.
It was Red Bull, like the
okay.
The thing that exploded, or excuse me, it was like in the air. It was like a Red Bull thing. So I would imagine Red Bull's a sponsor with BYU, who they have tons of money to dump on people with NIL. So this probably was a part of the commitment. It was like, hey, we're gonna do this, and we're gonna give you all this money to do this. So like, it's not like he stays the thing himself, So
okay. Well, now here's Sarah Strong. I won't have one for Cooper Flagg because he just told, I think he announced it in a Slam magazine interview. He didn't do a special thing. He didn't have that type of ego. He just kind of announced it. Let me just see. This is.
Well, I hear the wait is over. You've narrowed it down to 3. Can you tell us where will you be playing college ball?
Well, first I want to just thank all the coaches that have recruited me. I like to thank my dad. Thank you. And my teammates. Y'all really mean a lot to me. Pretty much, yeah. So the next 4 years, I'll be going to.
I don't even know where this is.
They knocked the thing down.
Anyways,
that was great.
So that's how they all announced it. Those are the 3, and Cooper Flagg, like I said, did an interview with Slam Magazine, and that's how he announced he was going to Duke, which wasn't a big surprise. So they have that going on. So I just thought it was interesting how each of them did it, and then I'm just saying, how far are they going to take this? And I just saw how AJ did, and I said, I guess they're taking it pretty freaking far.
I can imagine, whatever sponsor wants to get in there with the number 1 player in the country, the doors are wide open for it now.
Uh-huh. Oh, it was Aquita. She says, awesome people of the internet. That's her introduction on her tapes when she does that. So anyways, I thought that was interesting. I find it interesting she went to Oklahoma because she wants to win a national championship. And like I said, when we were looking it up, I couldn't believe how many juniors and seniors they were losing. All of their top 8 players were all going to be gone. But they got the transfer portal, and
yeah,
she's exciting, and as good as I think she might be, she'll get people to transfer in. I mean, that's what
absolutely.
He transferred in there to play with Juju. Of course, I don't think it's going to work out.
We should talk about her because that was very unfortunate.
We will talk about that. I have mixed feelings about it. And I will say that it was probably a basketball play, but I can understand people arguing that it might have been more than that. I don't think it was the defender's fault. I think it was disgusting that the people were booing her. And I think they made death threats to her, the poor young lady who was just making a defensive play. But there are several theories out there. I'll go through them, and I'm not saying any of them are true, but we'll go through them and then you respond to each one.
Sure.
Wait a minute. Mark, going to give a hard time for the girl. Oh, I said girl. Yeah, I usually say. By the way, I always say women, but for the woman, the young woman, I try to. If they're over 18, I try to say woman, and I try not to say girl or kid. But that's just me. So we'll get to that kid part about Caitlin. So the first thing some people have said is that she could have avoided all this if she had made the right play, which is what passed to the person that was wide open, which Adrienne Ross didn't say, but she hinted at the video when she said, look at her wide open teammate over here. Mm-hmm. If you notice, as Rob pointed out, she's dribbling down with her head down, which she does often. And that's like Clyde Drexler used to do that. It was a bad habit he had. Michael Jordan was more likely to dribble up with his head up. And Magic Johnson's head was wide open because he was always looking to pass. And she does that. I've seen her on fast breaks before, and she doesn't even look to the left and right for her teammate to pass it because she's so intent on scoring. Because I think she wants to score. She wants to break Caitlin Clark's scoring record because she's actually said that in an interview. That's one of her goals. So what do you think of that theory that she could have just avoided it by passing it to the woman, and the defenders would have never been collapsed that far onto her because she would have gotten rid of the ball earlier?
That's an astute point. I didn't even think about that. Of course, like it's easy for us to say, like as far as like looking at it, and we weren't in her tunnel vision. It's a very tough decision to make in real time. I imagine the calculus of those two scenarios is different. I thought it was just a freak accident personally, and it was,
but
because like the leg that got hurt didn't make contact with the defender. And it was just like, damn. So like the stuff that I kind of like look at is like she did have the injury scare the game before. And
yeah, we're gonna get to that. So I want to go through each. So I want to tell. The thing is, maybe she didn't see her, but my point is, if she was in the habit of looking, she might have seen her earlier. But she's not in the habit of looking. She's in the habit of just trying to score. In fact, I think her chasing after this scoring record has actually held her back as a player, because her intent is to be the scoring record. And I don't know if she thinks that's going to validate her as the best player because she has the most points, or whether her fans think that. But if she's already a better defender than Caitlin Clark, if she really wants to be the best player, not just Caitlin Clark, because not necessarily everybody thinks Caitlin Clark is the best player in college basketball. She wants to be the best player she can be, pass more, because she drives to the basket when it's a crowded lane, and then she just tries to get a foul call instead of hitting a wide open three in the corner or dumping it off to somebody that's underneath the basket that's kind of open because they collapse on her.
I think there's a lot of pressure on her externally to say, hey, it would be great if you were able to do this, because there's one more thing we can argue for you, we can market you as that you'll have that Caitlin won't have. But I agree with you, Mark, like as far as what can benefit her overall game, because when I was watching her throughout the year, I felt like her team was like a bunch of people that did not know how to play with each other yet. And it was a lot of people playing one-on-one between Kiki and Juju. It was like two black holes out there. And I was like, if she can get to the point where, she's, increasing her playmaking abilities, she's going to benefit way more in the long run, because as an isolation scorer, she can cook. She can do whatever, but eventually you're gonna run into somebody that can guard you, and then it's like, well, what do you do
against Citron guarded really well in Notre Dame,
right? Like, and then like, what are you gonna do then? And it's like you're just gonna be trying to get to the free throw line as much as you can. And some of her games this year is just a lot of free throw stuff. So I think her playmaking and what can be beneficial for her in the long run, like you said, she already plays that great defense, great size on her. Tough, not soft at all. And a scoring record they're just points, honestly. It's cool that Caitlin Clark has that, but that doesn't, like, whether Caitlin Clark finished 1 point back it really wouldn't have mattered. It's
affect your ability. I know that's my
cool
whole
thing.
point.
It's like it's the ability that we're judging in a simpleton can think about the records and the counting stats and stuff like that. But either way, Juju was going to have still an uphill climb to break that record the next 2 years. So the scoring was going to have to go up even further. And then the more great players she's playing with, I don't know if she would have got to that point anyway. So like she should have been just like pure game development. That other stuff is secondary, in my opinion.
One of the reasons she was going to have trouble, besides the fact that Caitlin scored a lot her senior year, is that she doesn't hit the three nearly as consistently as Caitlin Clark does. So there's points right there. But she does have a much better whistle. In fact, I maintain she has the best whistle I've ever seen in women's basketball. The only whistle I've seen better than hers is Harden, and they took that away from him about 4 or 5 years ago. Harden used to drive to the basket, put his shoulder into the person, draw the foul. It was really a charge, and they kept giving him a foul call. People kept complaining, and they took him like 5 years before they said, okay, it's not a foul. We'll stop giving him that call.
I remember in the 2012 Western Conference semifinals. I'm a Lakers fan, right? So I remember just complaining to high heaven. I'm like, all James Harden does is lower his shoulder and barrel at the rim. No one, and they never call it on him, and it's just a foul every time. And then like he just killed us.
I know.
He killed us. Like
he got a better whistle than Michael Jordan. Yeah. Michael Jordan just drove normal, and he just sometimes he got more likely got a foul call because he was Michael Jordan. But a lot of times he got hacked. Let's be honest about it, because they couldn't stop him any other way. But in women's basketball, I've never seen a better whistle than Juju Watkins, even better than Asia Wilson. Mm-hmm. And she gets that call, so that encourages her to continue to do what she's doing, which is not good basketball. Is
unethical basketball, I believe is the term.
What is it?
Unethical basketball is the term I've learned.
Well, I don't know if it's for her. It's not being unethical. It's not her fault. The refs are being unethical, but she would be a better player again if she would just pass it more and not get those foul calls, and she'd get more assists. If she wants to be nowadays, if you want to be a great player, try being what Caitlin Clark is, where you're a great scorer and a great passer. A shooting guard, Jordan had way more assists than she did. So, she still has more, and Jordan had more assists than turnovers. She still has more turnovers than assists. I'm just saying that because they're both shooting guards. I'm not trying to compare with Jordan because it's been. And I'll pull up her stats. For her career, she still has more turnovers than assists. And even this year, she was barely over assists than turnovers. Her first year, and I got her stats here, so I guess I'll pick them up. Let me just
like I'll say this though, like I felt really bad for her. Like
I said that. I said that all along. I didn't want to see her get hurt.
Yeah, and it was like it was a big because I had just finished doing my podcast, and then I instantly saw the play. I was like, oh no, she got hurt, and I was like, something bad is gonna happen. Woke up the next morning, saw the ACL, and it's not a death sentence, but it definitely it turns the it turns the fire down a little bit, I'll say.
Well, let's put it this way. There was a certain amount of people out there, ESPN, and that basically, let's just be honest about the black people at ESPN, wanted her to replace Caitlin Clark, and they wanted to replace her both at the college level and the pro level. And they knew that was her best shot because Hannah Dago may be as good as her in college, but she's not going to be as good as her in the WNBA because the 8 inches difference in height. So that's why they were behind her more. Plus, she's black, and Hannah Dago's only Puerto Rican. It's not quite what they want. So they want that's her best shot. And she had a shot at 3 Player of the Years, and she just got one for U.S. Basketball Writers Association today, by no surprise. And there's like 4 major awards. That was one of them. The Athletic wasn't one of the major ones. And she could also get 3 championships. I don't think USC was ever going to win 3 championships in a row with all that competition, but she had a shot at 1 or 2 and 3 Player of the Years, which would, in their minds, put her above Caitlin Clark because Caitlin Clark had 2 Player of the Years and no championships. Now, I don't think that makes her better, but because I don't think Brianna Stewart was any better than Caitlin Clark. She played with all sorts of 5-star recruits and 12 pro people who made it to pros and all sorts of things. In fact,
WNBA players coming off the bench.
Right. She played with 12, and someone said 22, but according to what I found, it's 12. And then I also found out that she played with 5-star recruits her entire starting lineup except for 1 year. That was a 4-star recruit. Caitlin Clark played with 3 3-star recruits and 1 4-star recruit all 4 years. Warnock for 3 years, and Hannah Stokey for 1 year. No 5-star recruits that you played with, period, on the bench or even starting. So there's a major difference in the quality of teammates that she had. And Kiki, she just made 3rd team All-American. I don't know. I think she was a 5-star recruit who transferred over. I'd have to look her up. I think she was a star recruit. And she had other 5-star recruits that she's playing with right now, too, that came in. So Caitlin's playing with mostly all 3 and 4-star recruits, but mostly 3-star recruits. Big difference than almost all 5-star recruits. So you can't even compare it. It's like night and day, and she's still dragged into the finals, which I think is more impressive than winning 4 in a row when your team's winning by 30 points without you.
I agree. And I think it's something that I just don't think people use, like we talked about last week. They don't want to drill down and actually evaluate the situations, because then they'll start tripping over themselves. I'm like, if we just put Diana Taurasi's stats up with Caitlin's, it's embarrassing. You don't even want to, like her college stats, you don't even want to do that. But
right.
You know, I would give Diana like full respect on at least her senior year, because like by the time her senior year was there, she wasn't with everyone that she was with. They were still good players, but they're not like in the caliber of, like, she wasn't playing with Sue anymore. She wasn't playing with Swing Cash.
No, her junior and senior year, she didn't play with any All-Americans, but she played with 5-star recruits, 3 5-star recruits, 1 4-star recruit, and 5 of them made it in the WNBA that she played with her junior and senior year. They just didn't make All-American.
Right.
They still made it in the WNBA, so they were borderline.
They were still really great players. Like, so
right.
it's like.
I looked this all up. I looked this all up because someone claimed that Caitlin Clark didn't play with the same level player as
they're being intellectually dishonest. If
her junior and senior year, she said, "Oh, her junior and senior." One person said in one of my threads, she played with all freshmen her senior year. I looked it up. She played with 0 freshmen that are on 11 people on the roster. She goes, "Oh, well, that just proves my point." I go, "No, it doesn't. What's the difference if they're not? That you got 5-star recruits that are in the bench that are putting all the other 5-star recruits on the bench." And then it turns out in a junior year there were 2 freshmen that started, but they were 5-star recruits, and they were just better than other 5-star recruits. That's all. It was so stupid. It's so stupid. They claim that she played with crap her junior and senior year, but they didn't. It just wasn't as good as her sophomore year. Anyways, here's her stats. And you can see that here on her career, she has 3.4 assists. And for turnovers, she has 3.7. That's not, I don't care if you're a shooting guard or a point guard, that's still not good. And her shooting percentage is still not good. 41.2. That's not good for a volume shooter. And 32.2. That's not good for a volume shooter. But she's a great rebounder, and she's
her usage rate is by any chance.
Great. What?
See if I can get her advanced numbers. Like, I want to see like what her usage rate is.
You can look it up. That's in the same thing, but her shooting efficiency is still going to be low, and her steals and blocks are great. I mean, she's an excellent defender, so I'm not questioning that. I'm merely saying they think she's a great offensive player when, in essence, she's a volume shooter that's a pretty good offensive player and excellent defensive player who's a great all-around player. And she could be a great passer. That's what the frustrating thing is. She's got the athletic ability, and I think she's got the basketball IQ to be an excellent passer, but she doesn't want to be, apparently. And I think her coach isn't her doing anything.
I don't think her coach is doing her any favors. I think if she gets like a better coach, you know, other parts of her game would develop. Like I see the potential to she can really kind of be molded into whatever type of player. I think, but it is going to take work, especially like, you know, it looks like her primary gift is scoring the ball. So like if she's not naturally going to be a playmaker, I get it. And I don't think she's ever going to come out here and average like 7 assists a game or anything like that. But if you can get to 5, I think that's attainable, realistic, and I think that would be beneficial to her.
I don't know if her primary gift is her scoring. She's a scorer, no question about it. But I think her defense is better than her scoring. And I think that she could be a great offensive player, but she needs to do the things we already talked about. But I mean, you know, Stephen A. Smith goes, "I just want to watch Juju."
Yeah, that was
why do he said that? He literally says, "Oh, Paige is a good player. I just want to watch Juju. Juju, she's outstanding. She's special. She's fabulous. She's spectacular." That's all. He just says words. He doesn't say why she is. If he goes and analyzes these numbers, he won't be saying that. What'd you say?
I don't think he's actually watching.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't. He said like that transfer from that transfer from whatever, that was Kiki he was talking about. He didn't know he was talking about.
Juju and the crew, as he
watched
said.
Highlights, Juju and the crew. He watched that. That's insulting to Kiki, who's made All-American,
Right.
So anyways, this. So I think she should just come back. Now she doesn't have to worry about the scoring record. So this, I'm not saying it was good that this happened. I'm just saying now she doesn't have to worry about scoring record. She can concentrate on improving on her passing and turning down her turnovers and making smarter plays offensively, and quit worrying about always getting the whistle, because maybe she won't get the best whistle, especially her first year in the WNBA. She's not going to get the same whistle she's getting now. So anyways, there was other theories. Another theory is, well, she hurt her ankle, and then her coach stupidly put her back in because that game was a blowout. I don't care if she says my ankle's fine. It's a blowout, and you got to play again in 2 days. So she could have put less pressure on her left ankle as she's driving down there and overemphasize her right leg. And sometimes you can get injured that way when you're not 100% healthy and you start playing again. I've had lots of ankle and calf injuries before. And, there's nothing to indicate that watching the film. I'm just saying it's a possibility that she's favoring her right leg and putting more pressure on that than her left ankle sore.
Because your body starts trying to overcompensate for other areas. And I think these are questions that we now have to ask after the fact, because the blowout that she was in the game before, this isn't the only time she was playing in blowouts the whole year. She was playing in blowouts throughout the season. And one thing I always remember is the Kevin Garnett. All year. One thing I remember is with Kevin Garnett. You guys remember how he used to jump and block those shots after like a 24-second call.
I saw a whole little thing on this. Yeah.
Yeah. So I also remember him saying, it was about 10,000 jumps that he could have had back essentially. So by the time when he ended up getting injured in, I believe it was 2009, it's like, damn, you waste all those jumps on all these shots that didn't count. So I just think these are things to consider. I don't want to necessarily blame Lindsay Gottlieb, but I think she does have to come to the stage if she's asked about it. What were you thinking? I'd at least just like to know what she thought, because until then we're just kind of throwing theories on her. But it's a perfectly legitimate question. I feel say, hey,
Rob said, why aren't they asking this at every press conference? Every time she keeps them in the fourth quarter.
And I know it's because when someone gets an injury, especially a leg injury, people get sensitive as far as let's have respect. Let's do all this stuff. All right, I'm all right, after we're done with the respect and all that, right? Can we ask the actual questions that, we have about this? What is your protocol? How do you plan to prevent this from happening to anyone else? You have plans to pull Kiki if you guys are ahead 25 in the second half. How are you protecting your team going forward? Right. And you can't answer for a freak accident. I understand that. But, there are signs here. Mike D'Antoni ran Kobe Bryant to the ground the last, 2 weeks before he tore his Achilles. Do you think him playing 48 games or 48 minutes and over per night for 2 weeks had something to do with him snapping his Achilles? I do. So,
but people made arguments to me well, some people just want to play 40 minutes and it doesn't bother them, and you got to practice and people get hurt in our practice. I said, yeah, but you have to go to practice. You don't have to play in the fourth quarter of a blowout. So I don't understand why they don't see the difference there.
Correct.
So of course people get hurt in practice, but you have to practice. You don't practice them for a game, you're never going to be sharp.
Right.
You can't get around that. That's just a silly theory. But we had all sorts of comments, and some of them were just totally illogical. I don't even know what to say to some of them. But I'm not saying that happened. I'm saying that's a theory. There's a theory that she's playing too many minutes, or that she's driving to the basket too much, what we just talked about, and that's putting a wear and tear on her body. Or it could have just been a basketball playing. In women, there's all sorts of, they're 4 to 6 times more likely to get an ACL under the same conditions. Supposedly they have smaller kneecaps, wider hips, weaker tendon muscles. I don't know what happened.
So I'm a pro wrestling fan. So in NXT, which is the developmental for WWE, right? They have something called the Performance Center. So it's basically where they're training athletes, they're training independent wrestlers, different people to, ascend and do wrestling or whatever. But in the curriculum, like they have essentially like an LA Fitness, and what they're doing is like Olympic lifting and all this other stuff that doesn't necessarily have to do with the art of entertaining people. But a lot of the women come up with ACL injuries. It's almost like a rite of passage there. It's like you get your locker and then you get your knee brace, like, and eventually you're going to put it on one knee, maybe both. And there's just been tons of women over the last 10 years or 12 years since this thing's been open, where a lot of them have had these ACL injuries, like these unnatural movements. And then we can just look at the WNBA. We can look at Paige Beckers. We can look at Cam Brink. The Cam Brink one was even scarier. It was like just nothing. She was just big and like long legs and like, you know, planted the wrong way.
A receiver for the Packers. What was his name? Oh God, I'm a Packers fan too. I can't remember. But it was just a cut, and he just put his knee. It happens, but that doesn't mean it doesn't increase your likelihood. When you're more tired, you're more likely to get injured. So either from that particular game or being worn out throughout the season. So it's just a possibility. I'm not saying any of this. It could have just been a freak thing, and I don't think there was much contact whatsoever. I don't think it was the woman's fault. But
absolutely not. I think the crap that young lady, and by extension, because they were at USC's home crowd, so they're probably going to be a little bit on edge if they see their star player get taken out. But that was not like, I couldn't watch that and think that was anything other than basketball, than tough basketball.
They showed the replay, so it's not like like in real time you might not know whether or not the person got taken out, but the replay shows that that's not what happened. But the fans were booing her anyways, and you know what, the coach said something and I didn't like it. Rob was traveling today, and then he had a family emergency today, and we didn't make videos the last 2 days. So some of this stuff was stuff I was going to make videos on, and I don't know if we're going to get to them because I have like 12 ideas for videos. But let me read you this quote. Basil, you're out there. This is the quote I found about the coach, and that I told you about that I didn't like, and I found it. And let me know what you think about this. I don't know exactly what she means by it, but if she means what I think she means, I think she didn't help any. This is what she said when she was
interviewed. And who is this? This is the Mississippi State coach?
No, this is the coach, Lindsey Gottlieb, the coach of USC. You can't tell me the energy of the crowd and how angry they were with the other team and how much they were for our team is so much about what Juju has given to this arena, to this program, to this city. What I don't like is that how angry they were with the other team. It's almost like she was saying, "Oh, that was okay for our." I'll even put this. Take this down. Stop screen and put it up again. Let me go. Share screen. Let me see if I can put the quote up there, which should be, here it is. The part I don't like is this part right here. You can't tell me that the energy of the crowd and how angry they were with the other team. She didn't even criticize them for being angry with the other team. Why are you being angry with your team if it wasn't a dirty play?
How much they were for our team is about.
Everybody that's listening, that 72 people here, tell me what you think of that statement. Do you think that was inappropriate for her to say it? It seems to me that she's fueling the fact that it was okay for them to be angry. She's certainly not saying they shouldn't have been angry, because the anger was directed at that one young woman.
Right. So you think she's trying to basically like sideswipe, say, hey, it's not about the other people. This is a reaction to the passion for Juju.
Right. Well, I think she's saying that it was okay for the crowd to be angry at the other team because she thought it was a cheap shot. But I think if she goes back and look at the film, she'll find out. That's
why I got to think. It's hard to, like, I know in real time they're going to feel like that. Like, I get it.
This is after the game. She saw
this after the game. I think she should probably come back and I think she's trying to, show respect to her player, but I think she should kind of reevaluate that, just because, like, when I look at the video, it becomes really clear. And a lot of this stuff, I think, we can take it back. Stuff that was going on with Caitlin. I thought some of the stuff was dirty. I thought some of the stuff was basketball plays. But the thing is, like,
Caitlin?
Yeah, because I remember immediately I saw that Diamond DeShields.
Was dirty.
I think it was the Diamond DeShields play, was very similar to this Juju play where they're out in transition and somebody just comes from the side.
That was dirty. That was dirty.
That was very dirty. And then she goes
thrown out of the game.
she goes tumbling. Someone tries to help her up. Caitlin's like, basically, get your goddamn hands off me, and then she takes off. And everyone was just trying to play like this is normal. I'm like, all right, man. Like, if this is normal, like, like I don't see the similarity between the like people sent that play out to compare it, but I'm like, the Caitlin play, that was targeting. Like, that was a targeted foul.
Right.
This Juju one was.
That was just.
It was not. It just wasn't.
All right, let's address this. This is complicated. Should Juju redshirt? By the way,
absolutely. Just
what if she decides to play? What if she wants to play this year?
Then they could take the redshirt offer. Like, because but you medical redshirt just to give yourself more options. Like, so hey, if I want, say your recovery is going a little bit slower.
The rules on that. If you start medical redshirting, can you take it away halfway through the season? Let me look the rules. I don't know what the rules are for that to be. I've never had research that. I would not be that simple.
I would think just because, like, I think you take the red shirt just because it'll give you the ability to play if you want in the future, especially with the NIL stuff, especially with the CBA and all that stuff, the uncertainty around that. Like, I think at this point, you know, you just take the red shirt to ensure you can maximize your earnings one way or the other. But okay.
I think she's going to go after 4 years, whether she plays much this year or not, because she wants to play in the WNBA as soon as she can. She's already talking about how she wants to play there. She's already said something about, yeah, I can't play yet.
Yeah,
but
I don't think she's going to stay for a 5th year or anything like that. But I think you do take the red shirt just to protect yourself.
What does that mean, red shirt? Okay, so that's a question from Lisa G. I'll put that up there. So red shirt is when they don't play that year, so they remain. Their eligibility remains, and like what happens usually is in football, they stay for 5 years but only play 4 years. So that's why you hear the announcers say, which stupidly, because they don't have to say redshirt freshman, because if they're natural freshmen, just say freshman if they're redshirt. So they go
pays a redshirt senior.
What say?
They'll say pays a redshirt senior, and
no, but they'll say they'll say when what's not redshirt. Oh God, what do they put in front of it? I was just listening to it, driving me crazy. So anyways, so that happens a lot of time in football with quarterbacks, because if they're not going to start for 2 or 3 years, they're going to redshirt them 1 year and then do that so they can start. But you practice with the team, you just don't play, and you still have your 4 years of eligibility, but you can still be with the team for 5 years. So that's what it means. And it won't affect it, in terms of her leaving for the WNBA, because she can't leave anyways until she's 22. There's 4 different scenarios where you can go in. But
right.
Basically, you have to be 4 years out of high school. You have to be 22 that year, or you graduated from college. And there's one other thing. If you're in Europe, then it's 20. Makes no sense, but that's what it is. So, anyways, yeah, I'm trying to think of the word that the announcer kept using that. It'll come to me in a second. They say it's a non-red shirt, but you don't need to say that the word they were saying, because just only say it when they're red shirt. So anyways, I'll think of it in a second. Anyways, so I don't know if she should, because I don't know when her knee's going to be ready. And I don't know what the rules are about if you declare you're going to be red shirt. What if you find out 2 months into the season, yeah, I feel good enough to come back. Can you take away the red shirt? So I don't know how that works, because it's never come up before. And I've been watching sports a long time, but it's just never come up before.
Unless you do it in the video games, but you lose your red shirt status.
I can look that up, and ChatGPT may actually have the answer on that. So, I don't know. So some people said she was playing too many minutes. And that's in the 4th quarter. I don't know what it was. It was probably just a basketball play. That's all I'm saying. But I don't know for sure. But there's, different scenarios out there. I just figured we could touch on them. And there's different scenarios. I'm just wondering if Stephen A. Smith is now going to pay attention to Hannah Hidalgo, Paige Beckers, and Cooper Flagg, because he only wanted to watch Juju. Now, there is a difference between those 3 people and Juju. I can't figure out what it is, but it's similar to what Stephen A. Smith is.
I think there's a certain amount of there's a certain amount of cachet that Juju has, like as far as just like leaping off the page star power, that I don't know if Hannah necessarily has. Hannah's a great player. And
I don't know. I don't know if I
people
agree
are
with
flocking to people are flocking to watch South Carolina like that because it's like almost a nameless, faceless machine. It seems like Flau'jae Johnson's out there, like she's at LSU, like. There's still a lot of players to watch, and but losing Juju, because I think a lot of people were definitely looking towards the USC UConn rematch. You pull that off the table in the form that they could possibly still get it, but not in the form they want, and it just takes the wind out of their sails a little bit.
I'm not convinced she has bigger star power than I'm convinced she'll be a better pro because of her size, but I'm not convinced she has bigger star power than Ana Daglo. Ana Daglo is more exciting. I think the media pushes her like she's got bigger star power and talk about her like she has bigger star power, but I'm not convinced she does. I don't know what the ratings were for these two games over the weekend, how Notre Dame did against USC. Of course, they're not played at the same time either, so they're not necessarily a fair comparison. But the ratings are down. It's very complicated, but the ratings are down 23%, but 22, 22.
That's natural.
20.
Kind of to be expected.
But it's more complicated than that because they redid how they do the Nelson ratings, and for out of the home, it went from 66% to 100%. Now that's not just the homes, so it's not a 34% increase in the ratings. It's just and that's only like 10 to 15% of the actual ratings. So I had to go through ChatGPT and ask it a bunch of questions and figure it out. And it turns out the ratings that they went are off now because the increase of 34% is only 15% of the actual ratings. The rest is all in people's homes. It only would make a difference of about 4 or 5%. So in other words, that 22 or 23%, it's like 26%. That's how much the ratings off. They're not as off as much as people think, but there is a new system in place. But it has to do with out of home ratings,
right? Like when people meet up at like sports bars or out
of ChatGPT when I figured this out. So it's not as much as people thought it was, because I said, wait a minute, that's out of homes 66 to 100%, not all the homes in the TV. So I had to ask him what percentage was the homes and what percentage I don't know, because it's restaurant and bars is basically what they're talking about. They weren't being able to document those all over the country, like in the smaller areas of the country, just the major cities. And they figured out how to do it. And that's why the ratings are different. And that's why the men's ratings is up, but it's not as up as much as they think either. So
what do you think about these tournaments, like in the discourse around them as far as the NIL impact and the lack of the Cinderellas getting through?
What do I think it's going to? I think it's going to hurt the ratings a little bit. The Cinderellas always help with ratings. But if the big blue chip ones go out, that also hurts the ratings. So it's kind of a mix.
Chicken or egg, right?
When the blue chip ones go out, the ratings go down, but when the Cinderella's going to go up. But sometimes they beat a blue chip program. So
I think this is just something that happens every couple of years where, all right, all the Cinderellas get spanked like in a particular year. But the NIL component that I heard people bring up is interesting because it's like, all right, if you're in a mid-major, team and, is wide open there for you to go to like when I start seeing SEC basketball teams get really good that aren't Kentucky or Florida, it's like, hold on, why is Alabama good now? Why is Auburn good now? I just start asking questions personally. So it's like, all right, where are they getting all these players from? And you're seeing like these, big time transfers and stuff like that.
What I want to know is why ESPN, and I don't want Cooper Flagg to be overhyped. I think he's going to be an all-time great, like a top 25 player of all time. And I think he's the real deal. He's got the most mature game I've ever seen, the most best all-around game at the age of 18 ever, even better than LeBron. LeBron's obviously a better athlete. That's why he's going to end up being the better player. But I don't think they're overhyping him. And I think they're doing it because they're afraid to overhype him because they're going to say they're overhyping him because he's white. And he might not even be the best player coming out in the next 2 years because we just showed the guy that Jay Billis said might be the number one pick if they were both in the same class. But at the same time, Stephen A. Smith never talks about Cooper Flagg. ESPN, that First Take, they never talk about Cooper Flagg. This guy's he's supposed to be in high school right now. He's probably going to be player of the year, and he may lead Duke to a championship. He may not. They may lose tonight. I don't know. But he's the real deal. He's a real player.
Yeah, I think with Cooper Flagg, there's a little bit, there's Duke fatigue always. Like I love Duke. So like I know that like it's like, all right, is there like 5 years ago they had Zion Williamson, like, and like I don't think it's just like the same thing because Zion has the legendary high school mixtapes. Cooper Flag does have a couple great high school mixtapes of himself. I believe he is the National Player of the Year. They came out and gave it to him, the USA B, I believe. I saw
that was probably out today because the women's who won a Cooper Flag.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, it's not surprising. It was him and it was going to be two people. It was a fifth-year player though, year from Auburn, right?
And I think in the men's side at least, there is a natural hesitation to white American basketball players. It's just like white people in mass abandon the sport, like just like we're going to decide to no longer care, and then like and then now Cooper, this guy's great, like for everything I see.
You're saying less white people started playing basketball?
Yeah, like as far as like the numbers that get through, and you just look at
how many get through or play at the lower level.
Well, play at the low, like it goes down a little bit each time, and then by the time you're to the NBA All-Star level, we're talking like Kevin Love and.
No, but do you think fewer whites are playing basketball competitively?
I think so. I think so.
And there may be a reason for that. Maybe they play other sports where they can compete and do better. Maybe. If the theory is true that a lot of people think that in sports that involve sprinting and jumping, blacks do better than whites, forget about other races just for this particular conversation, then if you're at that disadvantage, you may try a different sport.
I see, this is the thing. See, I believe in our white brothers, like that they do have the capability.
Cooper Flag's very athletic,
right? to be athletic. You know why? Because I see the Euros come over, and I watched the Serbian national team and stuff like that. Those dudes weren't backing down. They weren't afraid. They were playing. They were being athletic. They were doing all this stuff. So, like, I think in Cooper Flag's case, it's like I think people are just waiting till he gets in the NBA to try to diagnose how real is he. I think he's going to be good. And I saw him dominate. I saw him dominate that, or at least the clips that came out when he was playing with USA Basketball over the summer. He was giving people the business. And, it depends on the situation, the team he's on, if he, gets the right offense. And there's a million factors that can happen. But
the two best white European players aren't that athletic, Jokic and Luka. Luka's kind of athletic, but it's not really why he's a great player.
Let's throw them out because they're NBA superstars, regardless of
that's the point of the conversation.
Whoever.
You're saying European players came over and had this white players had athletic ability, but the two biggest stars aren't really that athletic.
Bogdan Bogdanović. Let's talk about him. Let's talk about him. Like just your mid-tier guy, right? Like, why aren't there more Bogdan Bogdanovićs like of the like the equivalents like for white American players? You would think that would be there, right? But there's just not for whatever reason.
I know a lot of whites. There's still a lot of white athletes that play basketball at the high school and college level. Yeah. But I don't know what to say.
So like in Cooper's case, like I said, I think people are just waiting until he gets to the NBA to decide whether they're in or out on him. So
I'm totally in on it. I've seen too much of him there's no flaws in his game. It really is. And he's 18 years old. There's no flaws in it. He plays an all-around game. He passes. He plays defense. He's composed. He's mature. Again, he's not the same athlete as LeBron, so he's not going to be as good as LeBron. But he's going to be a great player. And I'm sure this AJ, I just saw highlights of him. I don't know enough about him. But I trust Jay Billis.
I saw one highlight reel of him, and I think he's like 6'9", 240. So he's in that weird spot where it's like, all right, what's his true?
No, he's skinnier than that. He's not 240.
It's like, what's his true position?
No, the number 2 recruit is like the guy that's 240. I saw this.
Maybe I got to mix up.
No, he's not 240. He's definitely not 240. You just saw him. He was skinny.
Yeah.
He's slender. I'm good. I haven't seen him play. I'm just telling you Jay Billis said, and I trust Jay. And Jay Billis is biased towards Duke.
Mm-hmm.
And he said if he was in the same class as Cooper Flag, he might go first in the draft. And I think his inference was his athletic ability. But I don't know. Cooper Flag's very athletic, so I don't know. So NIL is killing basketball, according to Basil. It's the last nail in the coffin. So I don't agree with that. But why don't you tell me why you think it's going to kill college basketball? Because I don't know the reason why it's killed basketball. I think these women are more likely to stay in college longer, even if they change the rules, because they can still make money. Same thing with the football players. If I'm still making a couple $1 million, there's no rush to get in the NFL. Of course, in the NFL, you have to play 3 years first.
Secret blessing in the women's game, I feel like that they still have that rule that says they gotta, be seniors or 4 years removed. Like that's the best thing that they can have for the women's game, I think, because it would go, the way of the note. Then we would have problems in the women's side, I think.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm not saying there's everything positive about the NIL, but I think it was very unfair before. Especially people say the transfer portal's killing, basketball and football at college level. What I thought was extremely unfair is you go to a school. The coach treats you like crap, and you're stuck at that school for 4 years. If you transfer, you lose a year. But when the coaches transfer, they don't lose a year. That's just so unfair.
Correct.
At every level, that I can understand why they changed the transfer. Now you don't like the transfer portal. I don't think it's not bothering me. I don't know why it's bothering everybody. The teams don't stay together longer, but so what? So if they don't stay together longer, is that the end of the world? If the players, I wouldn't want to be stuck at a school when the coach won't play me and I deserve playing time, or he's treating me like crap because I turned out the coach is a jerk, or that coach leaves.
I think that's the primary one. If the coach leaves, I feel like you should be able to transfer with no. They got rid of that rule anyway. So
I've been on ultimate frisbee teams where I thought the captain of the team who determined the playing time wasn't giving me my fair playing time, and I was stuck on that team because I was living in that city. Most of the time it wasn't a problem. I got a lot of playing time, so it wasn't really a problem because I played it for a long time, and so I became good at it. But there was times where I thought I got screwed over once or twice. So anyways, I don't know, the NIL. I think they're getting an opportunity to make money. Is that really a bad thing? Just in college, I think it's unfair that the quarterbacks are the ones that can take most advantage of this, as opposed to any other athlete. So
free enterprise, baby.
They're not necessarily any better than the other positions in football, and they're not necessarily better than all the basketball players, but they seem to be the ones that can make the most money the quickest and the easiest.
Yeah, so, I think with NIL, there's still there's a huge element of this thing where it's all right, there's still the people that need to be paying their fair share, they're still not paying. The schools aren't paying the players. These are endorsements, these are other things. So the free market is going to generate that. I believe that all the players from all the universities should be find a way to be all right, we're going to take care of our players at least to a normal level, not nothing. It's all right, we'll give you 50,000, or we'll give you I don't know, $50,000 to $100,000 a year or whatever, to play and stuff like that. But it is what it is.
Someone said that I just lost it. The coaches are coaches are retiring early because they don't like the NIL.
Yes, because they have no control over these kids anymore, and they're finding out that they are not the stars anymore.
Well, some of the coaches, though, were out of line, and that's part of the reason that people push for the transfer portal. Some of these coaches were the things that Bobby Knight got away with back then.
Yes.
The coach, remember the coach that was over Rutgers or whatever? There was this tape of him, or it was something of Princeton, something over in Europe or something.
I want to ask you something off topic a little bit. Still college basketball. I watched maybe about a 1 hour YouTube video about the UCLA dynasties from, the 60s and 70s. One thing that I guess slipped through my historical kind of knowledge of this stuff, being, someone born in 1989, was the years that Walton and Kareem weren't there, that they were still winning. How did that kind of play out in real time with UCLA, and the way John Wooden kind of...
Yeah, they won 10, right? They won 7 in a row, and they won 10, and they won 5 with Jabbar and Walton. I think Walton only won 2 and Jabbar won 3. So they won 5 championships without Walton and Jabbar, if I'm not mistaken. I might have to look that up.
Yeah.
But yeah, they had stacked teams all the way through. He was a great recruiter as well as a great coach. He had one flaw, though. It's very weird. He didn't like calling timeouts because he thought it showed weakness to the other team. And Bill Walton was talking about the game, one of the games they lost. I think the one that broke their winning streak, where they were just dying and needed a timeout, and John Wooden wouldn't call a timeout, and it cost him the game.
Mm-hmm.
So even a great coach can have a significant flaw in his theory. Yeah, the basic theory is correct, but everybody else says, yeah, but it's more important to stop the momentum and get the rest than showing the weakness. So, he was stubborn in that way. But in other ways, he was obviously great but he also had a lot of talent there.
Right.
So during that time period. So, there was fewer top schools at the time. So, but, when you have Jabbar, the Jabbar was.
Right. It makes it kind of easy when you got.
He came in as a freshman, and the freshman team would play the varsity in an exhibition, and they won by I think I looked it up about 6 months ago. They won by 12 or 15 points, and he had like 35 points and 15 rebounds, and the freshman team beat the varsity that year. Right. And so he actually would have, won with any. He would have won with any team that he played in.
Me and you go back to that argument. Me and you passing to Kareem, we would have figured it out.
I would have. So you think some coaches are leaving to retire early? It could be. I know some of them don't want to deal with it, but
Nick Saban's right there is like the biggest example.
Well, he was pretty, but he might have been ready anyways. He's like 75.
Yeah.
Right. In the NCAA tournament was 32 teams. So was it Rudy? Yeah. I think they should go back to 48 games for the women because they were all blowouts in the first round because there's not enough depth. So
some of those women's games were really bad. The scores that would get tweeted out and just seeing who they were like, yeah, man, it's halftime here and it's 60-20. And it's like, hey, yo, final score 138. And it's like, all right, brother, what's going on here?
I'm not sure what's going on, but let me so I talked about the rate. Oh yeah. All right. So they gave Caitlin Clark a hard time for saying a kid.
Let's get
now. I'm on record. I actually did a short. It's kind of a somewhat jest, but I don't. I think Howie Long. Well, I don't know his exact age, but he's probably somewhere between 50 and 60. Twice in 2 weeks, he called Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes a kid. And they were 27 and 28 years old at the time. Now, I don't think it's the end of the world. I don't think it's a big deal. But they're not kids. He shouldn't be calling them kids. If you want to call a college quarterback a kid, fine. But a 27, 28-year-old is a kid. But at the same time, in this particular case, you have to look at the content it's using. Even Humphrey Bogart, is terms of, it's kind of an endearment thing. Here's looking at you, kid, at the end of Casablanca. Ingrid Bergman was 27, 26 years old at the time. Nobody said, oh, my God, she called him a kid on screen, and she's 27, 26 years old. No, he's just, and I think that's the way she meant it. She's not saying, oh, I'm looking down upon you because I'm 30 years older. So
I wouldn't call Chris Paul a kid, for example. He wouldn't take that well, right? But in Juju and Caitlin's case, I think a lot of people, A, don't know their relationship, and B, it's from everything we know, they seem to, be really cool. They're both on Nike, and they have an interpersonal relationship, whatever it is. I don't think that is really anything for anyone to be.
I don't know if they know each other that well because Caitlin gave her a number and she said, I haven't called her. And Act Nation said, well, she can't call her because she's friends with Asia. Asia will get upset if she calls Caitlin. So
that's a funny one.
I think he's right. And number two, maybe she has, but hasn't said publicly that she has.
Right.
Just because Aja Wilson and maybe Angel Reese, she's friends with Angel Reese or whoever she's friends with. Nafisa Collier wouldn't care, but those two would care. So maybe, maybe that's what it was. So,
and the kid thing is it just depends on the situation. I think people are just looking, people were very emotional after Juju, whatever it meant to them.
They just hate Caitlin.
After she went down and they saw that and they were like, hold on, what? And then I think I saw an Angel Reese post, I believe, was prayers for Juju Watkins. And I think Angel was getting attacked for that too. And it was like, huh? I was just confused. So
what did she say that she got attacked for?
Nothing. And it's Juju Watkins, I think she just said prayers for Juju, and then I saw a quote tweet that said, "Yo, the people underneath this comment is insane," and I didn't have time to go through all their stuff. But I'm just this is crazy, man.
Died or something. Jesus.
Yeah, she'll be fine. We have modern technology.
12 months. She's young. She'll come back. The ACL, they can come back from that.
There are things that ask Angel Reese about, but this is not one of them. Like, let's be realistic. Like,
right. It's so weird because I always say, like I said girl earlier today, there's like someone made a joke about it. I always say women if they're over 18, and I don't use kids if they're over 18, but it's not the end of the world if you call an 18 to 21-year-old a kid or a girl. But I don't do it anyways because I got conditioned not to say that when I played Ultimate Frisbee, and they kept correcting us in the 70s. In the 80s, don't call us, it was mainly the 80s, don't call us girls, call us women. So I started doing that, and they were pretty young at the time. So that's my habit of doing that. But if they're 18 to 21, it's not the end of the world if you call them a kid or a girl. But when they get older than that, I think it's disrespectful if they want to be called woman or young lady or not a kid. Because if I was 27 or 28, like I said, I would be insulted to be called a kid.
Yeah.
But if I was in college, I wouldn't. From a guy in his 50s.
Right. Then it's like you mentioned, is it endearment? Is it like, oh, I love this kid or something like that? Like, it's like, I don't know, man.
Look at the context that she used. It looked like she was just saying, hey, this kid, like, no, it wasn't meant to, like, I'm older than you type of thing. It was just saying I heard Caitlin call her teammates, even in the WNBA, girls. So she's still using some terms that, that maybe men can get away with, so she probably uses kids and girls because she just got out of college a year ago. So that's probably what she's used to using those terms. I don't think she put any thought into the word.
I think the case is always lay off Caitlin
They're just
Clark.
making excuses.
Like lay off Caitlin Clark. So,
that's because they showed, Kelsey Mitchell, like, she called Caitlin kid twice when she made this video about always being your corner. I think it was when she got Athlete of the Year, whatever it was. And she called her kid twice. Her coach, Stephanie White, was being interviewed. And she said, Caitlin Clark, kid. No, well, she's not a kid. She's a young woman. She corrected herself, but she called her kid for a second. You know what I mean? So it's just, they just don't like her. But they're just going to find a reason not to like her. So anyways, and even,
can we do one more kind of topic here before we wrap it up? Like,
you can do whatever topic you want.
Oh, cool, man. I hadn't had a chance to make many new videos this week, so I'm getting it all here. Right here with
the last 2 days, Rob had something with family, and he went to New York. Yeah. And I got like 13 ideas here to do,
But the national scheduling for the Indiana Fever, the 41 games, and I saw the Molly Karam ESPN thing with Nafisa Collier, right? And
question.
I was like, when Molly said, "Is it fair?" I was like, "Are we selling fried dough? Are we?"
There was two parts.
Are we talking about corn dogs and chicken bacon on a stick? Like that's only fair that I can really think
Objection,
of.
Your Honor.
Right? So asking Collier that is kind of unfair. It's like, why does she have to answer for that? But Collier's like, I'm not saying they should lose games, but the champ should get on more. Whatever. I don't care about that. But
she couldn't give a good answer to that.
Right.
I mean, her answer was fine when she was given, but she didn't make any sense when she said, "Well, yeah, the champs should get more games," but that would take away games from other people. They're not going to take away from Indiana.
Right. I'm saying who.
And the network
let's go through the schedules. Who do you think they're going to take them from?
Like
you said,
ESPN
not Indiana.
Shows. In fact, I think I have it. I think I have it. Hang on. I think I have.
In my opinion, 41 games was not enough for the Fever.
It should be 44.
44, yes. But I think this is more like this. Like, if people are floating this and this is not fair, and I saw like a high profile Twitter account which may or may not been affiliated with someone that is in Atlanta Dream ownership.
Right.
Can't recall her name, but the thing about like being upset about the Fever getting this is like, you are not caring about growing this league. You talk about wanting to grow the game. This is how you grow the game. This is how you make this more popular. This is how you take advantage of the explosion that happened last year, is you build on it. You don't go backwards. You don't keep it the same. You look, the Indiana Fever front office got the message.
Well,
what's it going to take?
What were they expecting? Why is this a surprise to people? They had 36 out of 40 last year.
Exactly. So it's like,
right now, ESPN and ABC have 10 games of the Fever this year. So they're not exactly shying away from choosing them. And they only have, 13 and ABC. They have 26, and they chose 10 out of 26 games to be the Fever. So their own network chose the Fever.
So I like all this stuff. Is it fair to other teams in the W? Sorry, like we're not like. It's like some of that stuff is like the bad part of this being a largely a women's sport, right? And they are built fundamentally on different things. And I think a lot of us that have either returned to watching women's basketball, have never watched it before, or you know, someone that has watched it, you know, and just kind of has gotten lost in it. It doesn't look familiar. Do you think David Stern would give a fuck about, like, excuse me about the cursing, but do you think what would David Stern do?
I know what he would do. He put the Chicago games on even before they were winning championships. And because I was alive during the time, and they did. The Bulls games were on more than anybody else, even before they won championships. And that's what they've always done. The champion didn't always have the most games. The only time the champions had the most games the next year is when they were the Lakers and the Celtics, because they got the most games anyways. Because they were the two most popular team at the time. So it's never that way in the NBA unless that particular team is a really popular team to begin with that won the championship the year before. But if the Detroit Pistons, when they beat the Lakers, when they were like a no-name team almost, they didn't get the most games the next year. No, it's whoever it is.
We're not talking about the Indiana Fever just being the most popular team in the WNBA. I would rank them as one of the most popular teams in all of sports at this point.
Certainly the most popular team in women's sports, and definitely might be top 5 in all of sports in the United States. That's other country I can't compare. But they might be the most popular women's team in the world, and one of the top 5 in the country. Lock in.
It's going to be a long 15 years for people that are upset about this. It's going to be a long time.
Yeah, they're always going to have all their games. It's going to be crazy. And and then you got people claiming that they don't hate Caitlin Clark of his race. Now, a couple of things have come up since then. One, it was stronger than what I thought it was, but Lynn Dunn apparently had to go to the office and say that Caitlin Clark. Now I don't have this exact. This is the exact quote, but I don't have it out of her mouth. Thing that she was called the white B word more often than her actual name by the black players, that they had to stop calling her that. Mm-hmm. And then Renee Montgomery's cousin. It turns out she's referred to as her cousin. Someone said her sister, but I asked ChatGPT and she was referred to as her cousin. And her name is what was Montgomery's first name? I don't know what her name is. The one that came out and said she hasn't done anything but be white.
Yeah,
she's an award-winning journalist.
Award-winning journalist. There's no excuse to say this. And last week I was on the show. I was like, I don't think that's a clear example that flies in the face of that. And I think there is that section of people that feel that way. I think they should largely be ignored and thrown out as dummies as well. It's this is dumb. It's like, why can't you embrace this player for being a net positive to the game, and also adjusting everything for all the other players in the sport you claim to love? It's like they don't want it to be a sport. They want it to be a cause. And if you want it to be a cause, just say that. And then I'll know to not seriously engage with you about things like what is actually moving the needle, what the star power is. And then we don't have to be confused about when the MVP awards come out. We don't have to be confused about when the national schedule comes out. If you want it to just be a cause and to use it to complain and be upset, I can't help you. I don't think Mark can help you either. It's like, nah, man, we're we're looking at the phenomenon. We're not here, looking for, I don't care what Caitlin Clark's color is personally. I don't care.
But obviously a lot of them do.
Yeah.
But they say it's not about race, but they've just proved that it is. And I mean, some of the stuff is so obvious that's about race. They don't have to say it. They can deny it all they want. ESPN has an agenda. The agenda does not include Caitlin Clark being the greatest player of all time, whether it's in college or the WNBA. That would kill them if it was, because that would go against their agenda. And guess what? It's just life. why does it bother him? It's like, here, I'm looking at this and I'm saying, okay, all these black women built up the league and stuff like that. There's a top 25 WNBA players of all time. I didn't make the list. Okay. It was a woman who led the league in assists. What's her name? Begins with T.
Tisha Penicheiro.
She was from Portugal. Okay. Let's just say she's from Portugal. She's whatever. The other ones were 16 black players and 8 white players. That's a third. Okay. So a third of the greatest players of all time are white. So occasionally, throughout history, for the next 100 years, occasionally the best player in the league is going to be white. Occasionally, the face of the league is going to be white. Don't let it kill you just because it happens every once in a while. If it's always a white person, yeah, I guess that would bother me if it was always a white person who was the face of the league. But it hasn't been that way. Okay, it always hasn't been that. So just accept it. It's going to happen sometimes. They're losing sleep over something that you have no control over. And it's inevitably going to happen unless the league is 99% black. You know what I mean? It's
interesting, man. Because it's like if they resent her that much, then just beat her on the court. Like, and then at that point, we'll just have to argue with the scoreboard.
Well, they tried to do that last year, and they beat her in several ways. They beat her a lot. Even the refs helped them do that.
And I don't know, man. And I think it goes back to our earlier conversation where I said on the men's side, it was almost like white Americans have given up on basketball in a lot of cases. I don't think that's the case in the women's game. I think Caitlin Clark is like,
they've given up. I don't. There isn't. A lot of the best players in the league, period, aren't from the United States. Even the black players. You have like 5 of the 6 MVP things last year were born in the U.S. But after that, it's almost all American blacks. After that, but in the top 6 or 8, like there was a lot of Europeans, and so that weren't born here. So the depth is there for the U.S., but it isn't at the very top right now.
Yeah. So that was disheartening to see, like on Twitter, and
it didn't surprise me, but
I was just like, damn. I was like, you just gonna say it out loud like that? It was like, there's no justifying this. Like, there's no protecting you. There's no saying, well, I don't think you meant it that well. No, you said exactly what you thought. So like now I have to evaluate that as such, and I think that's fucking ridiculous. Like, I personally, sorry for cursing again, Mark, but I think it is ridiculous. Like,
of course it's ridiculous.
To say this about her.
It's not ridiculous. It's racist, Rich. Just
like it's like come on. It's like, what are you doing?
You don't think it's racist that Stephen A. Smith is in love with Juju Watkins, and that's the only person he wants to talk about and pretend to watch? You don't think it's racist?
I can't say that racist. Just because I don't have enough information on that. I think that tweet is totally different than Stephen A. I think Stephen A. is looking at one of the 2 best players in the nation, 2 or 3 best players in the nation, West Coast, USC, Nike, all that stuff, Clutch Sports also, and
But why would he say, I only want to watch her? I only want to watch her. Why does he have to say something like that instead of, I think she's the best player in the country. I like watching her the most. That's all you have to say. You don't have to say it the way you said it.
If we've seen anything about Stephen A. Smith, he is willing to be inflammatory to keep his name up there, like to make sure he remains on top. So like, it's like you have to evaluate Stephen A. almost on a case-by-case basis.
He supposedly knows basketball. I don't see him talk about Cooper Flagg. Cooper Flagg's...
I gotta say, men's college basketball, there's just not that much to it,
I don't know. Like, some people don't like Duke, but I'm just saying, let's see how he talks about AJ when he comes in the college basketball.
He's gonna be playing in BYU. Nobody's gonna care about him. Like,
if he lights it up, they will.
Like, he's gonna have to he's gonna be way out there.
Why did you choose BYU, anyways?
Well, the NIL money. Because BYU and basically was like, we will pay whatever. I believe I think I saw something like $7 million or something. It was like, at that case, yes, really? I'm going to BYU at that point. So it's like, I believe is from New York, if I'm not mistaken. And then he went to like a prep school in Utah. And there's I saw a story that was interesting. It was like, okay, is the Utah Jazz, and it goes all the way up to like Danny Ainge and then like Utah Jazz ownership being alumni of BYU and deciding BYU is going to get in the game, essentially. And then they were like, we will pay whatever for the top prospect. They got him. and they got him in Utah already early.
Right.
And yeah, the AJ thing there's an interesting story behind it. I would say definitely look it up.
Okay, AJ MVP last 2 years and no love, isn't that by accident? She isn't the MVP the last 2 years. She got MVP this year, and she got MVP 3 years ago. Brianna Stewart got MVP last year, so I don't know why a person's saying that is. I thought the whole thing why she got voted MVP this year when the preseason started is because she didn't get it the year before. She came in third, and it was almost a three-way tie. It wasn't the end of the world. It just was a really close race.
And I think with the women's basketball just being such a rising kind of thing that people are getting interested in, I don't think the majors are necessarily equipped yet to cover it properly. So you just attach yourself
cover what properly
to cover like either women's college basketball or the WNBA properly. So like I think it's an arms race almost amongst independent media, amongst the big networks to find out who the voices are going to be that actually connect with the people. Like the next big person to cover the sport, there's no guarantee that it's on ESPN. It could be Mark, it could be Rob, it could be me, it could be any of the other creators on YouTube that just come out here and be like, yo, we're going to talk about the sport and stuff like that, and then we could gain an audience, just because I feel like it's in such a
well, ESPN has lost a lot of our audience, so yes,
it's in such an incubating stage right now where people are interested in this new thing, but like they are looking for people. They're looking for the voices, and it's not always going to be the traditional people now, because the traditional people have not done their research already. They missed the moment already with Caitlin Clark. It's like, oh, we've captured this.
So
and
his dad went to BYU. Someone said.
Oh,
I didn't.
Well, that's
I just
cool.
looked him up today. I heard about him from Jay Billis about a month ago. I didn't even know really anything about him until today when I looked up, how they announced where they were going, and that's all I was just saying. Like I was saying.
I was gonna say your major people, like the Ringers scrambling to get somebody in there, and they just hired not a young lady, I don't recall her name. She does a great job. Listen to a couple of her shows, but like these big places are going to be looking for people, because I think if we learned anything last year, the coverage wasn't good enough. That's why a lot of us stepped up.
The coverage wasn't good enough on ESPN.
Yeah, on ESPN. And then beyond that, even like it was like, all right, who's really talking about this in a way that like makes sense to people? And then it's like, no, I'm not feeling it. So that's why I started making videos. I was like, I think there's something missing here. So
good enough is an awful generous word to use, in my opinion. I think it was.
I'm a generous guy, Mark.
It was racist by ESPN. Let's just call it what it is. They had an all-black staff at the time, except for calling the games slightly different. You had Ryan Rocco and Rebecca Lobo, who's Cuban in English, but their entire staff that was covering women's basketball.
They had Nancy Lieberman.
Huh?
They had Nancy Lieberman.
She doesn't work for ESPN.
Holly Rowe.
No, Holly Rowe was a sideline reporter, but she wasn't doing any of the commentary. All the people doing commentary and doing the halftime shows. So
you're talking about like Chanae,
Elle Duncan,
Andrea Carter, Elle Duncan, Carolyn
Andrea
Peck.
Carter, Carolyn Beck, and there's one more I'm missing. But anyways, there's one more, and then the ones that were doing
Monica McNutt.
I thought you said him. But
nope, that was
all of them were all the ones doing the commentary about women's basketball. And those are the ones that all were guests onto First Take. They were all black, 100% black in the studio at halftime. Oh, Elle Duncan. And then there's another host also who's black who does halftime and questions. She was black also that asked questions. So there was basically 7 out of 7 black women. Now, I don't even care. I don't care if they hire 100 out of 100 black women, as long as they have a non-biased perspective racially. But they didn't. And that's what bothered me. They had a bunch of women who were tribalism. They were basically racist because they didn't they were lying and holding down Caitlin Clark's popularity and trying to say she wasn't as good as she was. They all made these stupid arguments to her about not being on the Olympic team. And if she was black and she had gone to UConn, they would have all been arguing she should be on. Diana Taurasi was on. Brianna Stewart was on when she came out of college. Why aren't they putting her on? This is racist. That's what they all would have been screaming. So they were biased. And that's what bothered me. Now they added some white commentators, both in sports under the show this year. I think because they got pushback from people saying, like myself, you're being racist. All you are biased because you can tell you're all black and you're trying to hold this white woman down. It was obvious what was going on.
I think there was like a collective push where they would give
I sound
a
racist.
lot of answers that like just didn't make sense to me.
Oh, she's laughing. Okay.
I was gonna say
I'm not afraid to say they're racist when it's that obvious. Let me turn on this light. Hang on a second.
Yeah.
It's getting dark and I haven't had that light in the back on. Sorry about that.
Oh,
Go
yeah.
ahead, Rich. Sorry, Rich.
Yeah. I was gonna say like the things for me, they just like didn't add up. Where especially like when she didn't make the Olympic team. That stuff was like, and then I would eagerly anticipate to laugh at whatever I felt like.
Rookie of the year.
Yeah.
I'm going to choose. Okay, so at the time, Chicago Sky was a half a game ahead or 1 game ahead. I'm going to choose this person because they're 1 game ahead. The season's not even over. And first of all, and it's just so stupid because number one, it's an individual award, and it's never been like the MVP award where how the team does is more important.
It was just a lot of things that didn't make sense.
What's Victor W. when he won the Rookie of the Year? The record was 22-60 or 20-62, whatever it was. So obviously, how the team does has no influence because the rookie is not as good as an MVP candidate, so they can't make as much of a difference whether or not the team wins or not. So that's not been traditionally been much of a criteria, even in this times right now where everybody overemphasize whether the team won or not and whether the team won a championship. So it's never been that way. So it was a stupid argument.
And that's why I say I think a lot of the commentary in the women's game is very primitive. And as you mentioned, the Breonna Stewart thing with the college to 4 national championships is proof of it. Where it's like, hold on, why are we not talking about like how stacked these teams were and stuff like that? It's like we're not even having the conversation. We are. I was like, but they're not even having these conversations to bring it to the table. The questions aren't even being asked. So it's not, let alone making a decision based upon those questions or answering them. It's like, hey, nobody even thought to bring it to the table, which is like, huh? And then I saw John in the comments said he gets all his WNBA commentary only from podcasters. So there are plenty of people like John out there who are looking for, I'd be like, okay, they're not giving John what he wants as far as either coverage, fairness, or like knowledge of the game. Like it just like, I think it's opened up a big space for people like us, which, hey, if they're gonna drop the ball, we can pick it up.
Let me give you another example where it was off. Besides, they ignored the fact that they always added the best college freshmen, like that. Was Caitlin Clark, they gave her a really tough schedule, and she had a new team, that she was playing with. So it's like if you want to compare her stats with other people on the Olympic team, she was on a new team with a lousy coach. The refs were giving her bad calls, and they were double teaming. Most importantly, they were double teaming and triple teaming her to hold her down. Nobody else in the league was being double teamed and triple teamed like that. So naturally, even though her numbers were still pretty good, they would have been even better. But do you think they brought up any of those points about her coach is lousy? Her teammates seemed to resent her. Her teammates weren't that good. Her teammates
couldn't catch passes at first. Like there was,
she was given a turnover for a pass that was right in someone's hands. She was getting foul calls, and
I'll never forget seeing
all those affect her numbers.
I'll never forget seeing the player from the LA Sparks who shot the one free throw and sprinted over to Caitlin. But it's like, hey, lady, you got one other free throw to shoot. What are you doing? Like, so it was like, all right, man,
that was hilarious.
Calm down. Like,
well, actually, it happened in the All-Star game with Kelsey Plum, and she addressed that on Twitter just yesterday. And we all knew why she was doing it. She had to play in the Olympic game in a week or two, and she had to make sure she
Cheryl Reed was like, Cheryl Reed was public enemy number one for me.
But she never plays it. She didn't play it like that in the Olympics. She didn't play it right in her face. Remember Julie Van Loo, whatever her name is. Is that do I get that name right?
Van Lau, I believe it's pronounced, but
she's Belgian or something or what?
Yeah.
Okay, so she was. Now you can't call this racist now because she's white. But she was right in Caitlin's face, almost stepping on her feet, trying to draw a technical foul from her. That is so Bush League to do that.
That just sounds like classic old school dirtiness.
No, it's like it's acceptable because it's against Caitlin Clark. If they did that to another player, they would have gotten in her face. It's okay that it didn't matter. Like There's another player. Again, this was a white player, but she was trying to get acceptance from the league. She's hooking Caitlin Clark's arm when she's dribbling by her, not grabbing it, hooking it. Caitlin Clark goes like this and hits her in the face accidentally. She's doing that to get acceptance from her teammates. People, they were all doing this. The whole league was doing this. And you had to do it against Caitlin Clark to get accepted. Otherwise, your teammates were going to be mad at you. Your coach was going to be mad at you. You had a double teamer. You had a triple teamer. You had a blitzer. You had a holder. You had a grabber. You had a foul. You had a knocker in the head when she drove to the basket, or your teammates would be mad at you. This was going on the whole year, and they keep pretending. Oh no, this is the same.
Look, yeah, they're Caitlin said they woke up a monster and they didn't name her to the the Olympic team and all that, right? Well, I got a similar theory here. I was like, doing all that stuff, that hard defense you were talking about and dirty defense, and they're creating a monster because, like, as we talked about last week, neither of us think Caitlin Clark is soft. Like, neither of us think that she can't handle it.
She and the physicality.
And it's like, she's going to, like, all right, I know what's on tape now. And I would imagine Caitlin Clark devours tape and then say, oh, okay, these are the angles and this is how I'm going to play it. We saw the evolution over the season. She's going to be even harder to deal with going forward. It's like at some point, you won't even be able to be dirty with her. Like, just like Jordan, you won't even be able to be dirty.
No, and her coach is so stupid though and so dumb. She couldn't handle the double team and triple team. She had 40 games to figure it out, and she couldn't figure it out. But do you think Stephanie White's going to have a problem figuring it out? No. She's the one that instituted against her last year. She knows how to do it. She knows how to clean it up. And she's got way better teammates this year. And she may get a slightly better whistle for two reasons. Number one, she will get a slightly better whistle. Number one, she's not a rookie anymore, which is a stupid rule, but they do it anyways. And number two, Stephanie White will stand up for her more with the refs. And I think they'll also I think they're also getting.
I think the team commands a little bit more respect too. Like, you got DeWanna Bonner that's going to be out there letting the ref like, hey, I've been around here 15 years. Don't do that. Natasha Howard is going to be out there. And then Kelsey Mitchell is going to be out there. And it's going to be like, I think it's not going to be the same as far as the respect with the referees.
Okay, so are they talking about the refs respect her now? She shouldn't have to earn respect from the refs. She's just a player.
I think all players should earn their stripes with the refs.
I'm asking this guy, John. John, are you talking? Who's they? The refs or the other players that are on the other teams? That's what I want to know. What he before.
Oh, okay, yeah. They respect you,
Mark. This will be different because they respect. I'm talking about the fouls right now. So, are you talking about whether you can get fouled more or not, or whether or not you can get the foul calls? So John, are you still there? Tell me who they is, so I can respond to that because that's an interesting point. The players. Okay, I think the ones that really don't hate her that much do respect her more, and she's going to win some of them over. The other ones who are still jealous and envious of her because she's, let's face it, she's getting all the attention and the money, they're going to still hate her, and they're not going to respect her even that's the case. That it's going to be a long time before they do that. It depends on the player. That's my feeling. The refs, she shouldn't have to earn respect from the refs. That's so stupid. Not that what John said was stupid, but it's stupid that she should have to earn. That's why I think it's a dumb rule that the rookies get bad calls, because it's not a question of earning, like whether or not you're honest or not. It's it's stupid.
I would think if you see a foul, call a foul, but it doesn't always work that way. So
no, I think she'll get a better whistle this year. I think her entitled career, she will not get a good whistle in the WNBA. I just get that impression. And Juju Watkins will get the best whistle her entire career because they want her to replace Caitlin Clark. And that's just what's going to happen. Juju Watkins is going to be overhyped.
She's going to have to prove it. Look, she's going to have to prove it not only at the box office, she's going to have to prove it in the game.
She's going to be overhyped, overrated.
Hype only will take you so far. Hype will only take you so far.
I'm just saying that's what I think is good. It's not Juju's fault. She seems very nice to me. I don't think she should have been.
So you saying she's going to get she's going to get the stimulus package is what you're saying?
What?
She's going to get the stimulus package is what you're saying?
She is, in her entire career, she's going to be overhyped, overrated, and she's going to get a good whistle for her entire career because they want to replace Caitlin Clark because she's black and Caitlin Clark's white.
Interesting. We'll follow this, Mark, because I think a lot of people are rooting for Caitlin too. Obviously, I think people aren't. Like, obviously, we can point out examples.
People rooting for Caitlin Clark last year didn't do any good. She got the worst whistle I've ever seen in my life.
But it's going to be back breaking. Like, there's going to be, I think there's going to be a flashpoint where people were gonna be like, all right, man, we were
Renee, the Montgomery woman. What's her first name? Not Renee, but the one that just
Dawn Montgomery.
What is it?
Dawn Montgomery.
She basically just said Caitlin sucks as a player, and she's only white. She's done nothing. Basically, she just said that.
These will become outlier voices over time. Like,
I know, but that's over time. Yes, over time. Now, I will say the AP voters, I thought were fair. Not the person who voted for Angel Reese for Rookie of the Year. That person should not be allowed to vote next year. I've already said that.
They should be exposed.
Not be allowed. But the other players, I'm sure some of them didn't vote for her in the top 5 in MVP, which I think is wrong, but not that many of them. And
players have a vote.
Pardon me? No, it was, how many, what was the number last year? 62 or 67 AP. I think it was 67 AP vote. Yeah, 67. 67 people voted. And for the same people, it's my understanding, voted for the Rookie of the Year and for the AP. For the MVP. But they're done differently. The Rookie of the Year, it's just Rookie of the Year. It's not a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's not even a 1, 2, 3.
You just put in one name.
They should do it a 1, 2, 3, but they don't. But the MVP is they give you it's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then they did. So I'm sure there's some people that didn't vote for Caitlin Clark 4th or 5th, which I think is wrong, or 3rd. But there wasn't enough of them that she still came in 4th, and I think that's kind of where she should have come in. And so, especially if you look at you got to count the first 10 games. It's not, of course, that wasn't her fault, but still, she didn't get screwed over, is what I'm saying. She made first team All Pro and 4th in MVP voting. So people that are saying she's going to not going to give the MVP because they're going to screw her over. Well, look at last year's vote. She didn't really get screwed over. I think the people that were voting weren't as bad as the people that were vocal in social media and that were connected with the NBA and stuff like that were doing some of the like the people who supposedly have an X account for the WNBA, and they talked about the Rookie of the Year for 50 minutes and never mentioned Caitlin Clark. All right.
That's crazy. Yeah, that's another crazy.
There was a video for 14 and a half minutes long on a podcast or on a YouTube channel after Caitlin Clark got him the charter flights. And they talked about that and all the increased revenue and never mentioned Caitlin Clark's name for 14 and a half minutes. And someone said, you can say her name, it's okay.
Yeah, that's the dishonesty that people see through. And it's like, this is stupid. It's like, we would not, if we're talking about the best players in the league, we're not going to omit Asia Wilson. We're not going to omit Nafisa Collier. We're not going to omit Breonna Stewart. It's like, why do we do this? Or why do they do this? It's infuriating, man. It's like, why can't we just be fair? Like, if people would just be fair, I think it would be like, it would take people a long way, because they have to know when they don't mention Caitlin Clark, people are going to be like, well, what about Caitlin Clark? It's a natural reaction, you would think, based on literally everything.
This is a perfect example to prove that some of the refs had an agenda. And that game against the Aces, there was definitely Caitlin Clark was getting some momentum for MVP talk. They had played him once earlier in the year. And they had 2 more games, I guess, within a week.
Yeah, I remember those.
And
those are big games.
Asia Wilson got 0 fouls, and Aaliyah Boston had 6 fouls within like a minute and a half. And you could see some of the replays. You could see that Asia Wilson fouled Aaliyah Boston. There was no foul call. You saw a replay that there was Aaliyah Boston didn't even touch her, and there was a foul call. Yeah. So there was an agenda there to make sure that the Aces won that game. And Caitlin Clark was getting, they said, mugged in that particular, but she got mugged every game. Club grabbed hold. They wanted to make sure the Aces won that game and that Asia Wilson did well to stop any momentum that Caitlin Clark had for the MVP. It's 100% clear what was going on in that game.
I gotta watch my game review for that because one thing I do on my channel,
go watch
started doing them at the end of the year. I would basically do like a 10 or 15 minute game review, like everything I thought. So nothing jumps out at me, but I have a terrible memory sometimes. So
let's see how they treat Paige. Someone just brought Paige up. Let's see how she's a rookie. She's supposed to not get a good whistle. And let's see. And she got
that UConn protection though. You can't discount that.
I get that. She's an excellent player and she's a very good passer. I don't think she's anywhere near the same level as Caitlin Clark. But if she's a dangerous player. Look at how she's playing well right now. She's a dangerous player. Shouldn't they double team and triple team her? From 94 feet since game 1.
It will be interesting. Who they open the season with? Who did they open the season
when she drives to the basket?
Let's see. Dallas.
No, she did that ESPY speech. She's protected.
Let's see. 2025.
What are you looking up?
I was saying who they opened the season against. The Lynx. So, all right, let's see it, Cheryl Reeve. Let's see it, Cheryl Reeve. I want to know the defense that's coming out against Paige. We'll see.
If Caitlin Clark is average and mediocre, why did they double team and triple team her and cover in 94 feet? What I said is if she's mediocre, all 11 coaches should have been fired last year because they didn't.
They almost were. They almost were.
That's my. Seriously, if she's mediocre and average, all 11 coaches should have been fired last year because their whole defense was to try to stop her.
Yeah.
So
anyway, man, I think we got to wrap it up. Get to some of these. I got to watch these college games and all that.
Turn on it now. Yeah. What game did I say was on at 7?
I think Florida. You said.
I think Florida's 7:30, 09 or something. Is it? Let me just see. Let me see what do we got here. Men's basketball scores. Go to scores. BYU's at 7:09. Well, you won't see the AJ because he doesn't come till next year. And then Maryland's at 7:39, and then Duke's not till 7:30. I want to see Florida play because I trust Jay Billis, and he went to Duke, so he's biased for Duke. He said Florida is the best team in the country, and he thinks they're going to win. So he's predicting against Duke. So if he's from Duke and he's saying that, I trust him because there's no bias there. He's biased towards Duke. So I want to see
Jay
Florida.
Billis is awesome. Like he'll keep it a buck. He'll keep it funky on pretty much whatever.
Smart guy. He's got a law degree, by the way.
Yep.
Yeah, and he was the one that said. Remember when Jay Williams said,
reason I became a Duke fan
can't be great because you don't have a and Jay Bill said, we can talk about greatest of all time because he said great's not even in the conversation. He goes, what are you talking about? And then he said something like, well, I'm not really trying to put her down. He goes, well, you did a little bit. And so that was, and then Jay Billis later lied about it and said, we were talking about GOAT, and they weren't talking about GOAT. Andrew Carter was just saying she was great. She wasn't saying she was one of the GOATs. So Jay Billis looked like a fool. You know why he did that? Because he won a championship and he was player of the year at Duke with a kind of stacked team. And he, like I said, I think he was a below average player of the year. He was saying, look at me. I'm player of the year and I won a championship. Look at how great I am. So that's basically what he was saying. He was pointing out how great he was without saying it. That's what he was saying.
Yeah, look at me. They don't call me this. And I'm like, look, Jay Williams is the reason I became a Duke fan. So I love Jay Williams. He says crazy shit sometimes. So
well, he said in this particular case, he said something dumb.
Yeah. And
then he looked like a fool where he told he talked down to the people and he made a joke. He said, you're not as good as me. You couldn't carry whatever. He just looked like an idiot afterwards. Look, if you're going to make a dumb comment, you're going to get pushback. And he didn't handle it well. And then he lied about what they were talking about because it's on tape. So he looks like an idiot. So I don't know what's going on, but that was the start of Robin Lundberg, who I think is going to come back on either next Monday or the Monday after. He said he's had to check his schedule. He said Caitlin Clark has been criticized for her greatness for not winning a title more than any athlete in the history of American sports. Basically, he said. People weren't constantly saying this about men's basketball players who weren't one of the greatest of all time because they didn't win a title. They were never saying that. We all know Kareem. They weren't saying that because he won 3 titles. They knew Kareem was the best because he would have won. He would have won no matter where he was. We talked about it earlier. And you can look at men's lists, top 10 men's lists, and there's all sorts of players on there who didn't win championships that people ranked as the top players of all time.
Dude, look, I remember one time. I think there was some type of voting. They did an open vote. It was greatest college player of all time. Then Michael Jordan beat Kareem in the finals. It was no, you didn't and I remember this specifically. It's all right, man, you guys aren't evaluating them on their college careers because it's you guys were doing this I was like, oh, so
no, that was because Michael Jordan's more popular than Kareem. Michael Jordan, I'm the biggest Michael Jordan fan in the world. I think he's the greatest athlete of all time, the most exciting athlete of all time. But he was not the greatest college player of all time. That's obvious. He only won one Player of the Year. He only won one championship, and he did it when he was like probably the third best player in the team. So no, he was a great player, but and then he did nothing his junior year. They got knocked out early. It's single elimination than that. Yeah. So I mean, like James Worthy was the star of that team. He just happened to hit the winning shot because they were covering James Worthy when they put the ball in, and he had the balls to take it. He didn't have to. There's still 16 seconds left. There was no hurry, but he goes, "I'm going to take this shot," and guess what? He hit it.
I guess in Caitlin's case, like with the criticism, like for not winning the national championship, it just comes back to the very underdeveloped coverage of women's sports, I think.
Right. But the next year, he was the best player in the team. Worthy graduated, and he was better than Sam in the next year. And the third year, he was Player of the Year, but he didn't have a super career. And he hadn't developed his all-around game. He was always a good defender. So I'm not going to say that wasn't the problem. But he didn't have much of a jump shot. He hit the jump shot in that game, which is, it's kind of ironic that his jump shot was rather average at the time. And he just takes the jump shot. He wasn't, but he didn't even have a great jump shot when he entered the NBA. And it turned out he had a fantastic jump shot when he retired. From 16 to 20 feet, he might have had the best of all time, considering that he was always covered, so closely. His numbers indicate that he was right up there. So he was. I saw that. That's just his popularity contest. Nobody that knows basketball is going to vote Jordan the number one college player of all time. Nobody knows basketball, and nobody knows basketball is not going to vote for him number one in the NBA history of all time. In my opinion, that's my opinion, anyways. But who's that guy? Nick Wright. He's made a whole career out of taking.
That's a glaze. I like Caitlin Clark. I don't think I like Caitlin Clark nearly as much as Nick Wright loves LeBron. So that's a whole nother subject.
Oh God, he's obsessed with trying to prove to the rest of the world that LeBron is better than Michael Jordan. He just put this up. He said Jabbar was first, LeBron was second, and Jordan was third.
I saw that. That is masterful clickbaiting.
So bad he pushed back at him so hard.
That is masterful clickbaiting because at that point, it's like I remember when he did the countdown list, he was revealing them in YouTube videos, and then so you find out who obviously number 3 is before you do 2 or 1. So it's like you get Jordan out the way. It's like, hold on, what? Like, are you about to hold on? You did what? So
here's a thought. Has Nick Wright and Skip Bayless ever been in the room together at the same time?
Yeah. I think Nick was on Undisputed back in the day, maybe like 2017
as a guest, but I don't think as a guest.
Yeah.
Is there a discussion
you can look it up.
Jordan versus LeBron and then discussion?
Yeah, you can look it up. It's on YouTube right now. I'm 99%
I hate
sure.
Skip Bayless, but he's got the facts in his favor, so he's going to win that discussion. But I would love to look that up because
I'm pretty sure that's available.
Because Skip Bayless is even worse because he's dishonest about. I don't think Nick's is dishonest about Jordan as Skip Bayless is about LeBron. I mean, like Skip Bayless would keep saying he didn't have a jump shot, which LeBron does have a jump shot. There'd be a game that he'd play great and he'd pick out one thing about what he did wrong and say he didn't have a great game. I think it was just stupid. And so he has him 9th all time in his list. Skip Bayless does 9th. At least Nick Wright has him 3rd. I mean, I think those are the 3 greatest players of all time. So at least he has them I think Breanna Stewart, Cheryl Miller, and Caitlin Clark are the 3 best college players of all time. At least if you have Caitlin Clark 3rd, I'm not going to lose sleep over it. But 9th, I would lose sleep over that if it really affected me personally. It doesn't affect me personally because who cares? I don't care what Nick Wright says. Nick Wright didn't give much of a pushback against Angel Reese when she did the ring thing and the finger thing. He's saying trash talking, but Nick Wright, as Rob said, he has a black wife, and Rob said he can't go around criticizing Angel Reese because when he goes home, that's it. It's over with for a month. He said he has a black wife. Rob said that. I go, I'm just telling you that's he didn't have a pushback on it, and I have a big pushback on what Angel Reese did. I think it's bizarre that people are trying to claim it's trash talking when the game was over. That's not trash talking. Trash talking is when the game's still in doubt. And that was the exact same thing. It wasn't. So that's
I wonder if the future of their rivalry will ever be as exciting as like the moments like that kind of created this thing, because I don't necessarily see it like unless they're like they somehow happen to meet in like the WNBA finals or something in a couple years. Angel gets a good team around her. She can be like the third best player on the team or something, because that's like my path to contention for Angel Reese would be like, okay, you cannot be the first best player on a team. It's just not going to happen.
I don't know. I don't know about that. I think she's good enough. I think she has enough talent to be first team All-Pro in her prime. Not every year, but in her prime. Like she has her best year, like when she's 28 years old. I think she can make first team All-Pro because Lisa Leslie is starting to help her now with her form and stuff like that. But I don't think she'll ever win an MVP.
I just worry about her being a big that shoots under 40%. So like,
no, I think that's going to change. But I don't think she'll ever win MVP. I don't think she'll ever be as good as Caitlin Clark. And I think that she does not draw people to want to play with her like Caitlin Clark does. So she'll always be at a disadvantage to Caitlin Clark because number one, Caitlin Clark is better. And number two, Caitlin Clark makes her teammates better. And number three, she's not going to draw the free agents there to play with her because some people find her likable as a teammate, but a lot of people don't. They just won't say it. And also, she's not good enough. So why would you want to go play? You'd rather go play with Caitlin Clark. If he's a Collier, you think she's in a or Caitlin Clark?
Absolutely. She probably play with Caitlin. But I was gonna say her organization could probably be a handicap too. People have had horror stories about the Chicago Sky organization for years.
Angel won't be in the league after this season. The joke is that she's going to do
she's
OnlyFans.
Oh man, see, okay, that's
I've never said that.
I think
she'll be in the league after this.
Yeah, she'll be in the league.
She makes too much money because her connection is basketball. Yeah, and you don't want to give that up because that gives her all the publicity.
But back to the original thing I was saying, like I just struggle to see where the excitement of the future of this rivalry is going to come from. So it's going to have to come through like Olympic teams, like are they going to like be gold medal teammates together or something, or meeting the WNBA finals or something like that? That's going to be the only thing that can move the needle. I know they play 5 times, but it's just going to be belt to ass like that. Like that's why.
Angel Reese fans, keep saying, well, she's a winner and she's a champion. And that's why she's better than Caitlin Clark. And they even count high school championships. So they count high school championships, but they don't count gold medals when Caitlin Clark was the MVP on the under-19 team.
Right.
So that doesn't count, but a high school championship when you have good teammates doesn't count. So anyways, what's going to happen is Caitlin Clark is going to win a lot more NBA championships than Angel Reese. And they're going to say, oh, well, Caitlin Clark stacked his team. She's not a winner. But they didn't care that LSU was a semi-stacked team or that Angel Reese probably had
lots of transfers.
They don't care about that. But if she's such a winner, why didn't her team make the playoffs last year? That's what I want to know. So they're gonna move the goalposts with Caitlin Clark. If Paige Beckers does not win the NCAA championship this year, UConn will all move the goalposts. Brianna Stewart is now stuck on record saying that her Paige Beckers, who are probably friends, is not a great player, not one of the greats, because she said that you had to be not one of the greatest of all time, not one of the GOATs, not the GOAT, but not even one of the greats, which is like top 50, top 100. So Paige Beckers, she's already on record that she's going to have to withdraw from that comment.
And her path, unfortunately, got easier this week with the loss of Juju. So.
Correct. But Juju's path got a lot more difficult because it's non-existent. I don't think UConn will win it, but I think they're a threat to win it. And, she's got 3 good players and she's got a great coach. She's got some depth. They're playing well. I think Paige, we'll see. Paige played really well last year in last year's tournament up until the game against Caitlin Clark. And then I thought she had an average game and so did Caitlin Clark. I didn't think Caitlin Clark played great against UConn in that game. She played great the game before against LSU. But we'll see what happens. Paige is playing, I think, better than she has all year. Someone said I think Rebecca Lobo said she's playing better than she ever had in her career. I don't know if that's true because when you put up big numbers against weak teams, it doesn't mean anything to me.
Yeah, you killing the sisters of the poor. I'm not really paying attention.
If she plays great against all the best teams for the rest of the tournament, then I'll agree with that statement.
Right.
So we'll see. I think she's a great player. I have nothing against Paige. other than the ESPY speech was a little bit too much for me. And I think that they have a shot, but I think South Carolina is still the favorites because of their depth and their coach. And I don't like Dawn Staley at all. I hate Dawn Staley. I think she's the main person.
You don't like Dawn Staley?
Why would I like Dawn Staley? Dawn Staley kept Caitlin Clark off the Olympic team on purpose. And she did that because she lost to Caitlin Clark when Caitlin Clark was a junior, and she was pissed off about it. Did you know that Caitlin Clark won the Dawn Staley Award every year until her senior year, which is the year after she won it? She had beaten South Carolina, and Dawn Staley has a say in the Dawn Staley Award.
Is that the
Hannah Hidalgo over Caitlin Clark for the best point guard in Dawn?
I was going to say, I was like,
so now that proves to me that Dawn Staley has a resentment against Caitlin
that's
Clark.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
I made a video about it.
Yeah,
I didn't know it either. I was looking it up, something else up, and I said she won Dawn Staley Award. I noticed Caitlin Clark didn't win her senior year, and I go, wait a minute, that was her best year. They gave it to Hannah Hidalgo instead because they didn't want to give it to Caitlin Clark because she had beat him the year before in the undefeated team. There's no other explanation for it. Rich,
the only time that I've seen Dawn, in my opinion, like get herself in trouble, like with the Caitlin Clark thing, was when she was being interviewed in London at the Olympics, and then like some of the answers were a little shaky about Caitlin not being on the Olympic team.
It wasn't even a real question. Mike Tirico gave her a softball question and then had no pushback about, well, how was she playing before? What about the fact all these things that I just talked about earlier in terms of the obstacles that Caitlin Clark had, the fact that other players from college, Mike Tirico didn't have any pushback questions at all. And I thought that was it was bad journalism by him to do that. It was almost like he was, okay, Dawn Staley, let me be nice to you. Let me give you, I'll give you something. I'll give you whatever that expression is. He was just giving it to her. He was making it easy for her to try to get out of it. And nobody bought it, so it didn't matter. We all know why they didn't keep her on the team. But yeah, she said, oh, she's been playing this better. Well, they know why she wasn't playing, had those kind of type of numbers. They were double teaming and triple teaming her. So it was a disingenuous comment by her.
Yeah.
She made a comment a couple months before that, before she played in the WNBA, about her time will come, blah, blah, blah. It wouldn't be fair. So she had made her mind up before she played in the WNBA. That's why I know it was dishonest, because I can pull the quote up for you. And it was said before she played in the WNBA about it, basically saying she's not going to be on the team because it's not her time yet.
Yeah. So,
and you know why?
Company line.
Yeah, I can tell you the quote is not consistent with what she said. So anyways, that's why I don't like Dawn Staley. And she didn't compliment Dawn Staley until after her team beat Caitlin Clark's team her senior year. She didn't say anything great about her after she lost to her. She only said it after she won. It's easy to be a gracious winner. It's not
Some people don't even do that, though.
Look at Angel Reese.
Yeah, I was going.
Worst winner of all time in team
Some
sports.
people don't even do that. So
I know. So yes,
yeah, man, we should kick it down the road to next week.
Take it down to next week. We'll see what happens next week. So let's see. I'm pulling for Hannah Hidalgo. I think she didn't get enough attention this year. I think she's an exciting player. She seems a nice player. I don't agree with her thing on the tweet with Candace Owens. I don't agree with that at all, about it being a sin for gay marriage. I don't agree with that at all. But other than that, she seems real likable.
They're an exciting team. The couple times I've seen Notre Dame, they were beating the hell out of teams in an entertaining fashion. So like I'm definitely here to see how far they can go. Do you know what bracket they're in? Like who's like kind of paired off with them?
Yeah, I can pull it up real quick. It's right here. Yeah, let's see. NCAA bracket. Men, women. Yeah, you want the bracket? You want to see the bracket?
Yeah, if you could, that'd be awesome.
Yeah. I'll pull that up right now. I have to come back over here. Preset. Share screen. And bracket. Share.
Y'all in the comments got me dying laughing.
What are they saying?
What's up, Hazel? What's up, Vadim? They were like, let Rich go. but after we take a look at this bracket, I'm gonna jump up out of here because I'm gonna watch this game. But
yeah.
Let's see. So UCLA, okay. Oh, okay. Did you see about Tanaya Latson transferring?
Oh no, did that today?
She entered the portal today.
Because she wants to win a championship. She's not going to do it at Florida State.
And she wants more. Like she's like, all right, it looks like my numbers don't count here, so I'm going to go to a bigger school to where my numbers get me on the map.
So here, who do you want? You want Notre Dame?
Notre Dame, yeah. So okay, they're the 3. They're in the Texas region. Okay, so
they play Texas if they win.
Okay, and then back up top is South Carolina on that side of the bracket. I would love to see that.
Yeah, it's Notre Dame.
Ooh, it is
Notre
national
Dame
semifinal.
Texas, and South Carolina beats the winner of, like, say
Duke.
Carolina, which they're going to make the Final Four. I don't know if they're going to win it, but they're going to win. If they can beat Maryland. If they don't, of course, it's not going to happen. It's not necessarily 100%. But let's say South Carolina makes the Final Four, because nothing's 100%. Then they win. They play the winner of probably Texas and Notre Dame. If Notre Dame can beat TCU, TCU is good.
Yep. Haley Van Lith. Like part
UCLA,
of me thinks Kim Mulkey should be jailed for for Haley Van Lith going crazy this season. So
you know what? Why did she put Haley Van Lith on Caitlin, or at least why didn't she double team Caitlin? Because Haley Van Lith is not good enough a defender to cover Caitlin. She's a pretty good defender, but she's 5'8" too. She's
Caitlin
not even
whooped her like a dominatrix.
Why did she make Haley Van Lith? And then USC is, I think they're not going to beat UConn. So UConn looks like they're going to make to the Final Four.
Yes, heart and soul in the comments talking about Toby Fournier of Duke. Yes, she is Canadian, and she can dunk like high, like she can jump over people and like throw it down. Like I've seen it.
I've seen it, and I haven't seen her do it in the college.
Not in college, but I've seen it when she was in high school.
I'm still trying to figure out. She's a leading scorer and the leading rebounder, and she has the 7th most number of minutes. She won't. They want the woman. Her coach won't start her. Like, what are you trying to? You feel? Are the other players going to feel offended if you start your best player? I don't know if she's her best player, but she seems like her best player. Why won't she? She still doesn't start. I'm amazed. I would transfer out of there for not starting me after a half a season of showing I should start. So Tanaya Latson just announced that today?
Just announced that today, yep.
So where do you guys think she's going to go?
She left the door open to go back to Florida State, but I don't know why you would go in the portal if you are returning. So
okay, so Olivia Miles graduates. Hannah Doggan can play the 1 or the 2. So if she wants to win a title, I would go to Notre Dame and I'd take Olivia Miles' place.
Maybe she's
Hannah Doggan. They'd have 2 short guards. That's the only thing for starters.
So maybe she's some of these mystery Oklahoma people we were talking about with Aaliyah Chavez if she wants to look towards the future. But
and then Aaliyah Chavez looks like she could be a point guard, so she could go play with her. She could play. Well, LSU is always good.
Yeah.
She could play. I don't think she wants to play for South Carolina. That's not going to happen. She won't have the freedom there. She won't have the freedom at UConn. So that's out. She could play for UCLA.
Unless she's like, hey.
Laura Betts has another year, right? She said she's coming back.
Unless Juju takes that red shirt and they're like, hey, you want Juju shots next year? You can come out here tonight, Latson.
Yeah, but she doesn't know how much the year Juju is going to play. But what about UCLA? What about Texas? She a nice backcourt with Madison Booker.
Certainly there.
Yeah, because
we go through like I think each team almost aside from South Carolina and UConn pretty much have like attractive offers.
Rich, looks like you're not getting out here without giving us your pick.
Pick for what, Vonda?
I think he's talking about the women's college basketball. That's what we've been talking about.
Oh, okay. As far as that, it's interesting because I think USC was good, but I don't think they were great.
I don't think they were going to win it either.
Yeah. I am going to pick. I'm going to pick South Carolina. Like,
yeah, that's what I'm thinking right now.
Yeah, it just seems like it's like that well-oiled machine. I find it hard to really go against them.
Ohio State. Someone said Ohio State. Someone said, yeah, it's all speculation. Didn't someone else leave Ohio State? Someone else went in the transfer portal, right? someone from Ohio State left or something like that. I don't know. Someone else won the transfer portal. I forgot. But isn't it kind of early to announce that? The NCAA tournament's still going on. That's kind of weird. Like, no, here's the thing. She made second team All-American, and she probably felt she deserved first team All-American. And she's saying, well, they didn't think I played enough schedule. My team didn't win enough games. I didn't play for a big school. I didn't get as much coverage. I didn't get much publicity. And that influenced the voters, which it did. As we've seen before what's happened. You can go back and look at Caitlin Clark's freshman year when Dana Evans and let's see, and what was it? Ryan Howard and Melissa Smith, they all got voted first team All-American by the AP, not the U.S. Basketball Writers Association. They gave Caitlin Clark first team All-American because Caitlin Clark came from a team that hadn't been that in the publicity that much, Iowa. Or maybe they just didn't like her, whatever. But she didn't make first team All-American by the AP, but she should have. And Dana Evans did. Dana Evans over Caitlin Clark.
Yeah.
Go look at the stats. Go look at Caitlin Clark's stats.
It's goofy.
Dana Evans senior, Caitlin Clark's freshman year. It's not even close. It's not even close. So maybe she's looking at that. Dana Evans went to where did she go? I forgot what she went, but it was a bigger university that had more publicity. I forgot where Dana Evans went. Anyways, I think that's why she's leaving, because she wants to win a title. And I think she's upset she didn't make first team All-American. And she thinks that's one of the reasons why. I would have voted for first team All-American. She was my fifth pick. I think there were four obvious picks, including Paige, even though she was not a serve enough early in the year. She's still one of the four best players in the country, along with Laura Betts and Juju Watkins and Hannah Doggo. I think those four were slam dunk. It's just a question of who you think should be there for the fifth. And I'm open to different people for the fifth. Madison Booker was on one, and the U.S. Basketball Writers Association had Nisa Morrow. I'm cool with that. I'm cool with Madison Booker, but I'm also cool with Tanaya Latson. And so, anyways, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Anyways, Rich, thanks for coming on. And
absolutely.
Can you come on next week?
Yeah. I don't think I got anything going on.
Thursdays are good for you?
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. If anything changes, I will let you know.
And when the season starts, just so you know, I chose 5:30 so it won't conflict in case you do live streams for the Fever games.
Look at that.
Pardon me?
I said, look at that.
Yeah, because they start at 7. 3 games start at 7. 1 starts at 7:30 on Thursdays.
That
so
stinks.
You want what was that?
I said that stinks. Their scheduling stinks.
Why does it start? What does it say? What's wrong with 7?
I'm saying, like, what happens with what I noticed with them is they have all these games that start at the same time, and they're like, all right, it's like, and they would do it like on weekends and different stuff. It's like, all right, man, just stagger these things so we can see them all. But I don't know.
Okay. Well, I'm just saying that on Monday they have no Monday games whatsoever. So it doesn't conflict with my Caitlin Clark crossover on Monday. And they have, what do they have? They have 3 at 7 and 1 at 7:30. I thought they had 4 at 7, but it was a 7:30 game. So I said, well, I'll do my Caitlin Clark from 5:30 to 6:30. If the guest wants to come on, they can leave. They have a half hour to get ready to do a live stream. So that's why I chose 5:30 to 6:30.
Cool.
Anyways, all right. We'll see you. See you next week. Thanks a lot. And you want to promote your channel?
Yeah, come through. You just type in Rich Latta on there. You go to onelifetimeworldwide.com. I got merch on there if you want to support that. Do music on there as well. A lot of different stuff on the channel. Beat making videos. I take you through the process of how I make my songs, and we got plenty of videos about WNBA this season. If you want to know what I thought about something, it's all there. I host a podcast called One Nation Radio too, if you like wrestling. So check it out.
Rich Wrestling, Championship Wrestling,
professional wrestling.
That's champion. That's champion. That's
the great American art or worldwide art.
Rob follows that. I make fun of it because I wrestled for real, and I think it's a joke that's even considered or even thought of as a sport in some ways. I know it's not anymore, but it's entertainment. It's like a movie. That's what I consider. Anyways, all right. Thanks a lot.
Peace, y'all.
See you later. All right. All right. Cool. All right. Yeah, you just got to sign out, I think.
Oh, sounds good, man. Peace, Mark.
Yeah, I don't have to sign you out. I can take you off the thing. All right. Chavez sounds right. Okay, what did I miss about Chavez? Basil says wrestling is for children. I agree with Basil for once. When you wrestle, when you really wrestle, and you see that those guys make money in wrestling, but there's no professional wrestlers in the world, it kind of breaks your heart. So, anyways, so how do you pronounce her name, by the way? Quinta. I don't know how you pronounce her name. What does she say about Chavez? That she wants to play with, she wants to go to play with Chavez at Oklahoma, Taniya Latson. Let me turn on the TV just because I thought I did, but it didn't come on. Well, let's see. One game starts at 7:39, right? Just call it, Your Honor. All right, Vadim, that's funny. Who said you didn't have a sense of humor? Those guys were lying when they said you had no sense of humor. Let's see. I can go to 8. We'll go to 8. We'll keep the thread going until 8 for you guys. Let me just see. But oh, too much drama. There's a whole video I just saw that says, "Oh, Juju would have broke a record for sure." Who cares? I don't think she should have been concentrating on that.
I can guard pro in this. I can guard you and run you up. You sure about that? So it's looking for a quarterback? Let's go. You're right.
BYU Alabama is the first game, right?
So started at Rutgers, had 4 years at Rutgers before he transferred to Alabama.
Yeah, I'm interested in seeing this AJ guy play in the college next year because I trust Jay Billis. 32-28. Yeah, it's a close game. It's well played. Yeah, so then, but Duke doesn't play till later, right? 7:39, I figured out, right? But I want to see Florida play. So I got to switch over then in 2 minutes to TBS. I want to see Florida play because I want to see how good they are because they're eventually. Are they in Duke's bracket? Does Duke have to play him in the Final Four? I don't remember. Let me look at the brackets, the men's bracket again. Do they play in the Final Four or do they win meet till the finals? Okay, Duke. I know Duke plays Houston if they both make the Final Four. Florida will play, theoretically, I don't know, Texas Tech or something like that. And then they play, that's there. I'm sorry, they'll play Auburn. Auburn would play Florida if they all both win. And Houston would play Duke. All right. So they won't play until the finals, which would be good because they may be the two best teams, but who knows? I didn't watch enough men's basketball. I have an opinion on it. Glad to see. Yeah. Okay. So Scott, Act Nation did a video on this, and he's actually talked about it in 2 videos. And we did a video on it and gave him credit for the theory. And Rob didn't agree with it as much as I did. I think Adrian Ross agrees with the theory too, that if you're a creative, dynamic guard and you want some freedom and you want to develop as a player in those aspects of a game, then South Carolina and UConn are the last place you want to go. So I knew she wasn't going to either of those 2 schools. I think she could see that. I think people could see that. If she didn't see it, because she's young, someone above her would have saw that. Because she's definitely the creative, dynamic type player. So I knew she wasn't going there. I just thought she was going to go to Texas because they had the best chance of winning the national championship the next couple of years because Oklahoma was losing so many players But then again, there's a transfer portal. So I didn't know that much about Oklahoma's offense, but apparently they like to run. So that's why she went there. She likes to play fast. She likes to play like Caitlin Clark. And she's similar to Caitlin Clark. She can pass and score. I don't know how her defense is we'll find out how good her defense is at the next level. So she seems exciting. She's definitely confident in herself. If you've watched her in interviews or you watch her play, she definitely has a certain suave to her. She's confident. Let's put it that way. I'm not saying she's cocky. I'm just saying she's definitely confident. I don't know if you guys get the same impression as I did. So, anyways, I agree with that theory. There's only one. Let me see my list. I went and looked up all the greatest, guards in the league in the WNBA, and 6 went to Notre Dame, but only 1, they made the All-Star game, went to, not counting Paige because she'll be there next year, but only 1 went to UConn and South Carolina. And you would think there'd be a lot more than that, considering how many great players come out of there. The only one that was good that came out of UConn and was Alicia Gray. She came out of South Carolina, and she's a 2-time All-Star. Okay, that's it. You got Kayla McBride, Marina Mabry, Jackie Young, Jewel Lloyd, Skylar Diggins-Smith, and Enrique all came out of Notre Dame. So no one came out of Connecticut in the last 22 years that was a good guard. That was an all-star. 22 guards I looked up that made all-star. None of them came Connecticut. Only 1 went South Carolina. So there has to be something to that theory. I mean, that's a lot because we're talking about two schools that, just churn out lots of great players. So I thought she was going to go to Texas. So I thought Oklahoma was my second guess. And because I don't think she was going to go to Texas Tech. She couldn't win a national title there. It was too small a school. So anyways, we'll see what happens. I think Notre Dame has a good coach. So I wouldn't mind playing for a good coach. I don't know how good a coach the Oklahoma coach is. So I thought she was going to go to Texas because it's in the same state, even though I looked it up. It was pretty far from where she grew up. It was still like 5 or 6 hours away. But so I guess her parents had to fly anyway. So who wants to drive 6 hours all the time for someone's games? But I don't think there's very many Mexican basketball stars in the world. So it's interesting that she's going to probably be a big star. I don't see her being a bust. She may not be Caitlin, but she will be interesting to watch next year. But yeah, when I looked it up, her hometown was, I think, 6 hours away from Texas University. Could have been 5 or 6, I forget. So it's not exactly driving time, Yeah, we'll see. You probably weren't excited about Caitlin Clark coming out of high school either, and you would have been wrong. I got lucky. Even though I don't like Carolyn Peck, if it wasn't for her, I would have known who Caitlin Clark was her freshman year. I was excited about Caitlin Clark her freshman year. I thought she was very exciting. Oh my God, the guy's blood's dripping out of his nose. Whoa, I missed the play. You didn't think she wasn't exciting her freshman year? It was in the bubble, but she was exciting. Wow, I disagree with that completely. I started watching her because I watched one game and I said, "Wow, I'm into watching her." I didn't say you're wrong. I said I disagree. It's two different things. I found her exciting her freshman year. It was in the bubble. You were not excited before her freshman year. I did watch her play in high school. She played, I watched a game, almost a whole game, against Special K's team where she lost. But Special K teams had more talent. It was clear. They had like a stacked team. So I did watch her play. And I've watched highlights. But I actually watched her play. And Special K, I was impressed with Special K. She was shorter and she held her own against her. And she was 2 years younger. I just don't know how tall this Special K is going to end up because she's a sophomore. She could still grow. So we'll see what happens. I watched LeBron play in high school, and the All-Star game, high school All-Star game, because I heard the hype, and then I went back and watched a couple of his games in high school after that. And they were drooling over him by the announcers too before. And I saw the high school, it was a McDonald's game, and he made like 4 fantastic passes in the game. It wasn't the rest. It was his passes that I saw. And I didn't see him play until the McDonald's All-American game. And then I went back and watched 2 of his games later on YouTube. And when they eventually came on, and I just thought, God, man, he could pass. And you could obviously see how athletic it was. A blind man could see that. Yeah. I looked up Azzi. She's missed part of 2 seasons. That's why she's staying. And she knows she's not going like in the top 5 or anything like that. Maybe she was going to go in the top 5. I don't know. I think she's afraid UConn's not going to win this year. I think when Paige graduates, she's going to get, her numbers are going to go up. But I don't know why she's decided to stay. She only played like part of 2 seasons. She played 2 full seasons, and then she played like only part of 2 seasons. She was injured 2 seasons. I don't know. I forgot the other injury she had. But it wasn't even a full season. So she hasn't even played 3 full seasons yet. I'm not going overboard. I just said I'm curious to see her play. I just don't think she'll be a bust. I think she has too much talent. She has athletic ability as well as talent. That's a good combination. You know, we talked about Tyler Hansborough, who had the talent but not the athletic ability. That's why he didn't make it in the pros very well. Same thing with Cooper Flagg. He has the athletic ability. Some players like Larry Bird aren't super athletic and still make it because they're so great in other ways. I forgot about the other game. It started 10 minutes ago. It was on TBS. Maryland, Florida. Start from beginning. So has anyone watched men's basketball enough to have a prediction? I'm just picking Duke because I like Duke and I like Cooper Flag. I don't know if they're the best team or not. I'll see how good Florida is tonight. Playing a good team, Maryland, number 4 in the country. Oh, I know what they were saying. I couldn't remember the term. This drives me crazy. The announcer, Pam Ward, in the game that I was watching, kept saying true freshman. Just call him a freshman. And if they're red shirt, you call him a red shirt. You don't have to, if you go by default that a freshman is a true freshman, you don't have to say true freshman every time you say the person's grade. Because red shirt is not that as common as true freshman, especially in women's basketball. I only watched Duke play this year. That's about it. I was trying to watch women's basketball so I could make commentary, sound somewhat knowledgeable. I don't want to be like Stephen A. Smith, where I comment on women's basketball and don't watch. No. I would say, in relation to a male and a female, Caitlin Clark is more athletic than Larry Bird. She's faster than Larry Bird. She's quicker than Larry Bird. Neither one can really jump a lot, but she's faster and quicker than Larry Bird. So I would say she's more athletic. I think she's very athletic. I don't think she's super athletic like some of these other women. I think like Kelsey Mitchell and Kennedy Carter, some of those like Clea Copper, Dejanay Carrington even are more athletic. And even, Juju Watkins, I think they're more. Hannah Hidalgo is more athletic. She's just shorter. But I think Caitlin Clark is very athletic. Larry Bird had to be athletic. He couldn't be one of the top 5 or 10 players of all time and not be athletic. But he just didn't look that fast or quick. He didn't jump that high. He had good eye-hand coordination, which is why he was a great shooter. That's underrated part of athletics is the eye-hand coordination, especially in basketball. So that's just me. That's my feeling. But I don't know why people would say she's not athletic. Sophie Cunningham looks pretty athletic, even though she's not a star. She was also a star. Yeah, she was a star in soccer too. But so Florida, I guess, is in white here. Oh, okay. I yawned. All right. So I'm going to end this at 8, guys. So yeah, I'm going to agree with Lindy. She's very athletic, but not scary athletic. Like it's Cooper Flag, same thing. Very athletic, but not super athletic. Maybe not as athletic as this guy coming in now, AJ. I don't know. I've only saw highlights of him, but he's got hops and speed and quickness. Okay. Yeah, but I don't even think Larry Bird seemed that athletic to me. His eye-hand coordination, like I said, it just didn't seem that way. I think he overcame his athletic ability with dedication, eye-hand coordination, and hustle, competitiveness. He had good height, too. It's always helps to be 6'9" when you play basketball or whatever he was. Yeah, Caitlin Clark has great endurance. I think Larry Bird had great endurance for. Yeah, he didn't seem to get tired a lot. Lindy's almost as old as Bird. I earned that right. I would agree that they're both more athletic than they look. I mean, there's no way Larry could be that great and not be athletic. I think he looked less athletic than he was. Second time tonight, I agreed with Basil. How do you know it wasn't his eye-hand coordination? How do you know that? Unless you went and measured what his eye-hand coordination was. I don't know how you can say that. He was a great shooter without really being super athletic. So he practiced a lot. He didn't even have great form either. He kind of like did this. It comes over the side. I think it's pretty clear he had excellent eye-hand coordination, which is why he was a great shooter, in addition to the practice. Well, you said it like you said, and it wasn't because of his hand-eye coordination. But what do you have to? Why do you say that though? On what basis are you saying that? I'm saying he's not great athletic, but yet he became a great shooter. So it has to be something besides just practice. And the only thing I can think of is eye-hand coordination. All right, because it's way more than that. Yeah, it is way more than that. It's the practice he put into it. And it's his eye-hand coordination. What else is there? Other than form, practice, and eye-hand coordination and athletic ability. Those are the only four things I can think of. You're the one that made the statement saying it wasn't his eye-hand coordination. Don't get upset at me because you made a statement that I don't think is logical. You just like to disagree. And don't blame me if I call you out for it. Okay, his IQ. His IQ is part of his great part of his game. But that doesn't show that he didn't have good eye-hand coordination just because he also had high IQ. No, I don't agree form is overrated at all. I'll quote you my favorite quote from Michael Jordan. I think form is underrated. Sorry, I disagree with that statement. I'm going to leave you with this quote. Okay. You said it wasn't his eye-hand coordination. So you're suggesting that he didn't have it. But anyways, whatever. You just like to disagree. Michael Jordan said, you can practice shooting 8 hours a day, but if your technique is wrong, then all you become is very good at shooting the wrong way. Get the fundamentals down, and the level of everything you do will rise. So anyways, I agree with that statement. I think that it's very important for form. And I think I overachieved in ultimate frisbee because I had good form. Because my brother had good form and he taught me. I had an older brother. Michael Jordan. It's from Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan had great form. So great fundamentals, too. Michael Jordan had great form, great fundamentals. And that's one of the reasons for his success. I don't think Larry Bird had great form. But he practiced a lot. So Jordan can palm the ball. Yeah, well, Jordan had big hands, and he had, I think he had long arms for someone who's 6'6". Yeah, Jordan had fantastic form. Ray Allen had great form. I don't like Reggie Miller's form. I don't think his elbow goes out. That's not supposed to be. But there's other players with great form. Steph Curry, his form is probably not as good as Ray Allen's because it comes a little bit lower when he releases it. Yeah, Reggie Miller's sister had better form on her jump shot than he did. Go watch the highlights of Cheryl Miller. Go look at her shooting form. It's 50 years ahead of her time for women's basketball. I don't know. I think what Michael Jordan said makes a lot of sense. That's why people stress proper technique. That's why the women are at a disadvantage than men because they're not strong enough at an early age. And to get the proper form down, you have to have the strength. And so they get in the habit of having poor form because they don't have the strength and then have to correct it at a later age than the men do. So they're always going to be at that disadvantage. Aren't you going to poo-poo on Cheryl for stat padding? Cheryl who? Cheryl Swoops? I don't know. When did she stat pad? You talking about Cheryl Swoops? Aren't you going to poo-poo? Who are you talking about? Cheryl Swoops? Who are we talking about? Shoo on Cheryl for stat padding. Cheryl Miller? Cheryl Miller's with a C, so that's why I didn't know you were talking about, because Cheryl Swoops with an S, so that's why I wasn't sure. Well, Cheryl Miller is Cheryl, and you could just put Cheryl. Sorry, I thought you knew how to spell Cheryl Miller. Just like super famous. God, you're so annoying. When did she stat pad? I wasn't correcting pronunciation and names. I was correcting the spelling of it. I didn't know what Cheryl you were talking about. One Cheryl spells it with a C and one spells it with an H. They're both famous. I know we were talking about Cheryl Miller, but I thought you knew how to spell Cheryl Miller. She's so famous. I didn't think you wouldn't know how to spell her name with a C. It's not like she wasn't well known. Anyways, I gotta go. I yawned a couple minutes ago. Whoops. What was that noise? Oh, shoot. Yeah, don't call him Woody, please. He's mad at me because I said his name wrong. It's my mistake. You tease me, fine. You can tease me, whatever. I don't know why you guys that's kind of childish to tease somebody because you made a name mistake, or to tease him because I called him the wrong name. It just seems childish to do that. It's bizarre to me that you guys made such a big deal about it. Me saying Woody instead of Rudy. But again, it's whatever. He was upset. They said for 3 weeks in his chat, you guys were calling him Woody. All right. Well, Basil, why don't you come and pronounce all the names all the time, and we'll see how good you do. They got so many names that, and some of them are really hard to pronounce, and I don't always hear other people say them. Sometimes I look them up, and sometimes I don't. Well, have a simpler name. You chose your name to put on there. Why you choose something, the weird name like F-A-W-L-T, well, faulty. Choose something easier to pronounce, like Vadim. I don't know what it is. It's famous to you. I don't even never heard of it. I don't know what it is. I honestly don't know what it is. I thought you knew Cheryl Miller was a C. You've seen her name a million times. If you want to talk about famous. Aquaman is famous. I know, Rob. What was he saying, Vadim? He was saying Vadim or something. I forgot what Rob said. He didn't say Vadim. Oh, Vadim, like Vadim. The reason Rob doesn't get the names wrong is he doesn't say them. I say all the names. Rob just responds to my thing when I introduce the topic. Or if he does, I edit it out. Like the coach for Notre Dame, I try to look up her first name, and it's like I got like 4 different pronunciations on the internet for it. So I called her Coach Ivy. I heard her name before. I just couldn't remember how they were saying it. Anyways, all right. Good night. I'll see you guys on Monday night at 5:55. Yeah, I looked her name up. 4 different pronunciations I found on the internet. I gave up and I called her Coach Ivy. All right. So, anyways, I'll see you guys later. Good night. Monday at 5:55, I'll go on the air. And I probably go live for Duke. What's today? Thursday and Saturday. When do they play? If they win. All right. See you later. I'll probably go live for one of the men's games or women's games. I just haven't decided yet.